Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Fresno City Council meeting for July 14th, 2012, or 16, sorry. It's, for the record, it's my son's 22nd birthday today, so happy birthday, JP. He's on his way to San Diego to play baseball in a tournament. So, Madam Clerk, could we have roll call?
Councilmember Baines. Councilmember Brand. Councilmember Brandau.
Here.
Councilmember Olivier. Councilmember Quintero. Councilmember Soria. And Council President Capriolio.
Present, thank you. Okay, we will now move to the invocation. If our pastor's ready, from Campus Bible Church, would everyone please stand, and we'll have our invocation and then remain standing so we can salute the flag of our country. Thank you.
Let's bow our heads. Lord God Almighty, it's my privilege to stand before you in the presence of this city council, and to pray for all the leaders of our community in this amazing city of Fresno. We are so blessed by you, Lord. 3,000 years ago, you moved the hand of King Solomon to write the book of Proverbs, instructing us in everyday wisdom, and oh, how we need that, God. It was there that he wrote that it is by your authority that leaders make decisions. It was there he instructed leaders to resist false persuasion and injustice, and to seek to serve rather than to be served. It was there he reminded us that courage and loyalty and truth preserve leaders, not public opinion. It was there that we're reminded that leaders' hearts are like channels of water in your hand, O God. And so it's my prayer that you keep our leaders' hearts right before you. Put a hedge of protection around them and their families. Guard them from those who would seek to do them harm or evil. And I pray, dear God, that you will give them the wisdom and discernment, the insight, and the understanding that only you offer in order to lead this city well. Give them a unity of purpose, even in the midst of such a variety of human opinions. And may they leave this chamber today with one voice, in a spirit of unity, in a way that will give this community confidence that we are being well led. Lord, we're blessed to live in such a wonderful community, even in the midst of all of the many challenges. And they are many. And so, God, we humble ourselves before you. We ask that you would unite us, all of us, as we seek to make the city of Fresno truly a light on a hill and an example for all to follow. And I pray this in your strong and your powerful name. Amen.
Face the flag, please. Ready? Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag. Pastor, thank you for that prayer, and we will, every day we try to perfect that prayer. We really do. Thank you for the encouragement. Are there any changes to the agenda?
There's a few changes to the agenda. The first one is file ID 16-785, item 1C, should be subject to mayor's veto. And also file ID 16-823, item 2B, should also be subject to mayor's veto. File ID 16-834, timed at 1:50, is a joint meeting with the successor agency regarding the sale of the former agency property. Should say agency action, not council action. And finally, the SPCA is being moved to 7/28/2016. And those are all the changes I have.
Good. Thank you very much. Is there a motion to approve the agenda? Motion by Member Brand, second by Member Olivier. All those in favor? It passes 5-0 with members Baines and Quintero absent. Oh, sorry, Oliver. I didn't see you there. Passed 6-0. Passes 6-0 with Member Quintero absent. Member Olivier, did you have something you wanted to add at this time? Or?
I did, Council President. Thank you. I would like to have this council adjourn its meeting in memory of Virgil Dandy Dan Daniel and Travis Thiessen, one of whom a member of our community, and the other the parent of a prominent member of our community. Their losses will be felt even here in Fresno, even though they're from outside city limits. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you.
Is this council comments?
No, we're going on to, member Livy had punched up, and I thought he wanted to add something, which he did, so we're back on track with the minutes. So are there any changes to the minutes of June 30th, 2016? Is there a motion to approve those minutes? Motion by member Bain, seconded by me. All those in favor?
Aye.
Passes 6-0 with member Quintero absent. Now we have council member reports and comments. If you'll please punch up on the screen. Member Soria, you're first.
I just have a couple comments, but before that, I do want to adjourn in the memory of Dylan Noble here in our community, and also all the officers in the recent tragedy in Dallas. And I just want to send my condolences publicly to say that we stand together. I know that this is a difficult time in our community, and I hope that over the course of the next couple days and the weeks that we come together and have a conversation about the issues impacting, the issues of violence impacting our community. And so I would like to adjourn in memory as well for all those individuals I named. And then in addition to that, I just wanted to make a couple comments in terms of some things that were happening in District 1. We just had a great event out at Inspiration Park. The Central Valley Regional Center was celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Latterman Act. And it was a great event. Hundreds of people came out to celebrate, provide community resources and education about the different organizations here in the community serving this special population, and was very proud to be there and host them at the Inspiration Park. And so those are my comments. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Member Baines.
Thanks, Council President. I want to certainly echo the comments of my colleague, Councilmember Soria, a moment ago in discussing the recent tragedies that are happening, not just in Fresno, but around the nation. And just a moment of personal privilege, you know, not to get into a long debate here, but I think it's right to acknowledge the pain that's happening in our community today. And it's right to acknowledge the pain that's happening around the nation by multiple facets of our society. We, family, in our community suffered an awful tragedy. Our community as a whole suffered an awful tragedy. We have people that are in pain for a whole host of reasons, and their pain is validated and justified. And it's my opinion that as our city leaders, we should acknowledge that pain. We should do what we can to make sure that there are outlets for that pain to manifest, but we should do nothing to sow seeds of discord. And this community should be very wary of that and how easy it will be to take sides in these times. We're not here to take sides. We're here to solve problems. We're here to come together. We're here to be a community. We may have different opinions on things, and we express that pretty regularly here and out there. But there are tragedies happening, and people are hurting, and people are in pain, and I'm here to acknowledge all of it. I'm here to acknowledge the pain of our families. I'm here to acknowledge the pain of our officers. I'm here to acknowledge the pain of our community members that have watched tragedies happen not only here but across the nation. So it's now time for leadership to stand up and people of the right intentions to come together and bring the right discussion and make sure that we come together. Nothing's going to happen positive as long as we stay divided. And I know it sounds like a really cool campaign slogan or real cliche, but it's the truth in this moment. The truth of this moment right now is where you're going to be in history when it looks back on you. What did you do to further the right discussion? What did you do to be a part of a solution? Or were you one that continued to cause and sow seeds of discourse? So I challenge our community, I challenge us as leaders to make sure that as we speak, that we're mindful and thoughtful about everyone that's hurting. I challenge the community that as you speak, as you think, as you protest, that you're thoughtful and mindful of what you're doing and the message that you're sending and the outcomes that you're asking for. So thank you for indulging me, Council President. I wanted to just make sure that day after we had some pretty tough news here, that I made those comments on the record.
Thank you, Member Baines, and I join in your comments, and I accept that challenge. Thank you. Next is Member Brandow.
Thank you, Council President. And I also, that's very somber way to start off a council meeting, but Councilman Baines and I have had a couple of great conversations over the last couple of days, which have really led to a very prayerful attitude, and I think that's the best thing that I can do for our city is to join the community in prayer that that our city stay unified and still at the same time reach the best solutions possible under those circumstances. I was going to talk about something not quite as heavy this afternoon as well. I'm pleased to announce we're opening in my district a brand new business. It's a senior living facility off of Spruce and Hayes called Kingston Bay. I may have to leave a few minutes early, Council President, about 5 o'clock this afternoon, because I'm supposed to speak at their grand opening. But I would like the community to be aware that if you're in Northwest Fresno and you've been looking for a place to move in your parents, your grandparents, or take a look at assisted living, it'd be a great place to check out. Kingston Bay. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Member Brandow. Next is Member Keene Terrell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. City Manager, a couple things to go over with you. One is thank you for having staff follow up on the water trucks on Huntington, and it's appreciated very much by the residents. And hopefully we can get some type of a regular schedule of water on that. And the other two items I have is that one is in February of this year, early February, during the council meeting, a presentation was made by planning regarding the rezoning of properties throughout the city of Fresno. And at that time, I had asked Mr. Dan Zach for a report of the properties affected in District 5, simply because in case we would get calls from the individuals if they weren't notified that their properties had been rezoned unbeknownst to them. I've gotten 3 calls already, have not received any report from Mr. Zach. This was in February, and I believe that, this may happen in other council districts as folks go to develop their properties and saying, I didn't know that I had got rezoned. And so I've gotten, I believe it's been about 3 calls already on different properties. And one of the properties isn't in the council district I represent, but they live in the council district that I do represent. And that's got to be a concern, because if it's starting to happen to us, it's going to happen citywide, and they're going to be starting to call council members. And I know that there's something going on in planning right now where I guess they're going to bundle up some properties and rezone them back to what they were or something. I think that's ongoing or starting up. But I had asked, as I recall, Mr. Zach, I said, well, are you notifying the property owners that the properties are going to get rezoned? And he says, we're working on that. So, and like I said, I had asked for that in February. And some of those, one is one project in particular, they're getting ready to move forward, and then here they are stuck. And then the other concern that we have is getting calls still from residents between Tulare and Ventura and Cedar and First, the Huntington Boulevard area, Platte, Faru, Mono, Inyo, of the tree trimming that's going on there, because they're being told by the company that's trimming the trees that they're trimming trees because they're now going to move the trash pickup to the front of the houses rather than in the alleys. And I had also asked that maybe a meeting be put together for the residents of that. So if you can have staff get back to me and let me know what's going on, I would appreciate it. I mean, I don't know if it's a hot weather or what, but I mean, it's we're getting quite a few calls, and I'm sure some of the other council members as well, especially on the properties. And so would really appreciate some feedback because, like I said, some of the developers are ready to go and get building. So thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. A couple of comments I'd like to make. I want to thank Kevin and his airport team for the great work they've done. They've recently expanded the waiting area. So when you go to the airport, you barely have time to drop the passenger off or pick them up without security moving you along. Or you have to go into the short-term parking, and that's quite a distance away. So Kevin and his team have taken an area right adjacent to the terminal itself, and that's available to all the citizens to come in. You can park, take care of business, pick up, drop off without any worry. So it's really a great addition to the facility, and I wanted to thank Kevin and his team for that great work. Next, I wanted to remind all city employees that the Fresno Police Department will be providing a training session on the topic of, quote, active shooter / terrorism awareness. And this is a 2-hour training, and it will be held on July 29th here in City Hall. And the purpose of this is to give our city employees better awareness and better preparation in the hopefully never to occur event of an active shooter or some sort of terrorist incident here at City Hall. And I'd like to take this out to businesses and schools and to residents so we can all be prepared. Hopefully it never happens, but if it does, we can be better prepared to to deal with it in a very proper way. So I wanted to thank Chief Dyer, and I saw, there he is. Thank you, Chief Dyer, the administration for working with me, my office staff, and getting this organized. So as president of the council, I felt this was a very, very important item that we need to address by all city employees. So that's July 29th. It's a 2-hour session. So that concludes our council comments at this time. We have a closed session with some time restraints on that. So what we'll do now is we'll take a brief recess, and we'll go into closed session, and then we'll be back out to continue with our ceremonial. And I know we have a lot of people here for that, and then get into the general administration. So thank you all very much, and we'll be right back.
Yes, the closed session item is the Nelson versus City of Fresno.
Thank you.
So we were just advised that we have some pretty tough time constraints on our interns. So let me have, where's Quintus? Come on up here. So we several council offices every year. I guess you want me to talk, Council President? Okay. Several council offices every year get a really good opportunity to grab PG&E interns for the summer. So along with the partnership of the Boys and Girls Club, and PG&E. And can you come, please, Kate? Yes, come on. So we have our Boys and Girls Club representative, Kate Henry, who helps coordinate this program along with PG&E, but they do everything they can to ensure that young people in our city get some real life work experience. And our council offices agreed to host the interns during the summer. But I'm glad Kate is here. Is anyone from PG&E here? Okay. But Kate, would you mind talking a little bit about the program for the listening audience?
Oh my, I'm not much at talking in front of people. We're very pleased to host this year 120 interns. This is a partnership between PG&E but also the City of Fresno. We have 20 interns of that 120 are also part of the City of Fresno funding. So anyway, we're very happy to have them. Our youth get great work experience. They're also given pre-employment training. The other thing is that we just believe that this is such an important program, and we're so lucky to have the help of the community, because really when you are teaching folks to be self-sufficient and to be in the workforce, you are doing a great thing. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome. So we're here today, and I'm going to kick it over to my colleagues in just a minute. We're here today to honor our interns just for a moment with a very small token of appreciation in the form of a certificate. And then, because we worked them to death. Just so you guys know, we worked them very hard and long hours, and we're very serious. And I have a whip back there somewhere, but we work very hard. So we're very happy to have you guys in the office, and we're very happy to have you during the summer. Council President.
Thank you. Well done. It's a privilege for me to introduce these outstanding students that are working with us. In particular, this is Gina Robinson. We're fortunate to have her as our intern. She's a Roosevelt High School graduation. She'll be attending Fresno City College in the fall. I'm a graduate of Fresno City College. And then she's going to go into Fresno State, and my son, yes, thank you, and my birthday boy. And, of course, she's going to go into Fresno State, and I'm an alumni of Fresno State. And then she's going to go into business for herself, and I'm in business for myself. So we have a lot of things in common, but the most important thing in common is that I was able to meet you and work with you and my staff, and we sincerely and deeply appreciate everything you've done for us and for our city. And thank you so much, and I'll give you a certificate in 1 second.
Thank you, Council President. Unfortunately, I'm not sure where my intern is. I think she's probably working very hard in the back office. No, but I want to thank the Boys and Girls Club and PG&E for this partnership. I'm very happy to be part of this program because I know what it means to be an intern. My first gig in high school was actually an intern at a public works department in the little city of Lindsay in Tulare County. So I know how these types of internships can impact young people and their futures. I am a product of that, and so I'm very excited to host. I had Terry Tui in my office, also was very instrumental. She is from DeWolf High School. She just graduated. We'll be attending Fresno City College this next semester in the fall, so excited for her, and just excited to keep track of her, to make sure that if she needs any help or assistance or mentorship over the course of the next few years as she's moving on in her journey, that I am there to support her. I'm a big advocate. Actually, in my office, I have about 4 interns right now. Really, interns are in my office really the backbone of the work, because they do some amazing work in helping address constituent issues that come up, or just even keep us organized and help us in any way possible. And so I want to thank them for all they do, and really congratulate them for taking on that challenge. I think it's important that you guys are here, and they're all young ladies, and so it's great to see them take on these roles. So thank you for all the work that you guys do, and congratulations.
Member Baines, would you be so give us a little read there on this wonderful certificate?
Okay, and before I read that, I passed the mic and forgot to introduce my intern. Well, I was talking about the program, but my intern is Quintus Addison, and she's going to be attending Sac State, and she's going to be majoring in criminal justice. Now, actually, I was a criminology major, so good luck to you. Maybe you'll be, or you don't be a council member too, do you? No, we're gonna see if we can get her back here. But their certificate reads, "On behalf of the City of Fresno, I extend my gratitude to you for your diligence and dedication to your work and constituents of District 3, 4 and 1. All of us here at the City of Fresno, we're very fortunate to have you as part of our team. Thank you so much for your hard work. And we mean that sincerely. We appreciate the effort that you guys give. And we want to do a photo op now. Is it? All right. Fantastic. I know we're making them late, so.
Apologize for that lateness, but well worth it. Thank you. Round of applause, please. Thank you very much. All right, now we'll go into closed session, and we'll be right back. Thanks again. All right, we have a quorum. We're ready to go. Okay, the next item of business is consent calendar. Would any council member like to pull an item for discussion from the consent calendar? If so, please punch up and let me know. Okay, seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar? I'll move to approve. Second by Member Story. Thank you very much. All those in favor? Opposed? Passes 6-0 with Member Quintero absent.
We need to take it out to the public.
I'm sorry. Any member of the public wish to comment on any item on the consent calendar only? Now's your opportunity to come forward, and you'll have 3 minutes to address the council. Any item on the consent calendar? Okay, seeing none, we'll bring it back up here. The vote will stand. Thank you. Next, we'll go to General Administration. Item 2A. Regional transmission lines. Staff. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for being here.
Good afternoon. Mike Carbajal, Department of Public Utilities. This item is a recommendation to award a construction contract to Mountain Cascade for the construction of the Phase 2 Regional Transmission Mains Segment A1. Project is part of the $429 million Recharge Fresno Water Program and is necessary to support the operation of the Southeast Surface Water Treatment Facility, which is already in construction. The Phase 2 regional transmission mains will convey treated water from the Southeast Surface Water Treatment Facility to the existing water distribution system through a network of approximately 13 miles of large diameter pipelines. Segment A1 is the first of 4 Phase 2 regional transmission main segments that will be constructed and includes 5 miles of 48 to 66 inch diameter pipeline. The project was advertised for bid on April 18, 2016. Bids were open on June 7th, and Mountain Cascade was determined to be the lowest responsive and responsible bidder with a bid in the amount of $28,471,884. Funding for the project is provided through a state revolving fund low interest loan from the State Water Resources Control Board, previously authorized by Council in January of this year. Staff now recommends that the construction contract be awarded to Mountain Cascade. I'll be available to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone in the public wish to comment on this item? This is your opportunity. Please come forward. Seeing none, back to the dais. The screen is clear. Do we have a motion to approve? I'll make that motion. Do we have a second? A second by Member Baines. All those in favor? Opposed? Passes 7-0. Next, we'll go to the timed items, 1:50 p.m., and that is a joint meeting of the City of Fresno and the successor agency. Is there anyone here to pick up that item? Okay, we'll move on to the 2 o'clock item, appearance by Antonio Simone to discuss the possibility of locking garbage recycling cans to avoid people going through those containers. Good morning, sir. Welcome. Oh, how are you?
And in my neighborhood, and I've tried contacting council member in other ways going forward, and I just came up here to ask what is the best way to go about an issue that we have that's gotten out of control. Come from me in the banking background and also the business background, identity theft is a huge thing, and it's very rampant, and it's a big issue that no one's talking about. And the amount of people going through the trash cans, especially my neighborhood and other neighborhoods around us, is getting to an epidemic, as well as they're getting very hostile to people asking them to stop. We've gotten threats from people. If we've asked them, please do not go through our recycling bins, and we've gotten physical threats from them people. So other solutions is there to other cities I had it all written down in notes in my phone. I apologize. I can put a business plan together for you guys or do something like that if that's what it would take. Just curious what next action step would be.
Thank you very much. I can just speak for myself briefly that if you lock the trash can, then someone's got to unlock it. And the people that are collecting on a pretty quick schedule don't really have time to get out of the truck, unlock it, and do their process.
Yes.
And then as a practical experience, what I do is I just wait till that morning, and I pull my trash can out and leave it at the curb, and it seems to work for me in my area south of Shaw, my home. So just a couple ideas, but appreciate you coming here and showing your concern.
Yes, those ideas. The idea between locking it and physically unlocking, there's actually locking mechanisms on the truck itself that some cities have used, where it's an automatic thing. So no, it's not automatic going at. And then the trash cans, the time frame that they come out is they can come out early in the morning. They can come out all the way through the night. So you're leaving your trash cans. If you're working, especially the working families, there's no way that they can protect those cans by doing that. And if they do so, they are getting very hostile. So, but I'll let my time to do more pressing things here.
Well, no. I mean, this is a public opportunity, a public forum. So we want to hear from you. We want to hear from citizens, and your ideas are something we need to hear about, so we can try to figure out how to incorporate those or make them better. Or if you have some sort of business plan, or you mentioned earlier, whatever you might have in that regard, we'd love to hear about it, because we all want to make this city better and safer for everyone.
Okay, because I know a few people in the neighborhood that's been affected by that, and it really touches me, I guess. Yeah. People work very hard and don't like seeing that happen to them.
Member Baines?
Yeah, quick question. Bruce, have you ever heard where the truck, the sanitation truck, has a locking mechanism to unlock the bin? That sounds a little new to me.
We've used locking mechanisms on commercial front loader applications for restaurants and large businesses. I can tell you that the individuals who are determined to get into there will just cut them. And we tried it in downtown for about 4 or 5 months on a pilot program, and we could not keep the locking mechanisms intact overnight. They would just be destroyed. I will also tell you, ironically, there's a correlation with a lot of things that you're mentioning with regards to vagrants in your neighborhood or issues with that all over our community that are tied to recycling centers and the scavenging that goes through your individual and all the waste bins. We actually are going to fund, the Public Utilities Department is funding 3 police officer positions this year later on, whose primary responsibility will be going into your neighborhood and other neighborhoods before the truck does in order to discourage the scavenging that you're speaking of. So we're aware of the issue, but part of the other issue is the convenience of recycling centers in your neighborhood, which then allows those individuals to take that material, that stolen material, and then turn that into cash, and it just perpetuates some other lifestyles that aren't conducive with our neighborhood. So we know, we're working with you, we hear you. We'll certainly look at if there's an opportunity with a residential application to try to address that, but we've tried it on the commercial side only to find that that mechanism has been torn off during the evening hours, and then we have to come back the next day and try to again replace it, and it's just a vicious circle. So we're working on it, but the council is also looking, and I guess the good news, bad news is the value of recycled materials has really gone down, and there's even discussions at the state level about no longer having or requiring having to pay for the material as a redemption, because the recyclers can't get the value of that, and the program gets no longer self-sufficient based on the drop in commodity prices for both aluminum and plastic, and now even cardboard.
Yes, no, I didn't realize that they're breaking the locks. I mean, that didn't cross my mind, actually. I appreciate that. And it's not the commodity itself, it's people actually taking the materials that are not the recycled materials, or it's the paper, and they're going after that, not for the purpose of that. That's the issue. So But thank you very much. I really appreciate you guys'
No,
time.
thank you, and contact your council member. That's a good point, too, to start with. And City Manager Rudd's always available for dialogue as well.
Before you leave, Mr. Schuber, who's getting up, he can discuss this with you in more in depth.
Thank you very much.
Do you know which district you
I live, I think, District
Antonio,
5. Yes.
I think you're in my district. I just looked
Yes.
up your address. I had the city clerk look up your address. So I want to thank you for coming and voicing your concerns. That is what we're here to do, to listen. And I'm glad that my other council colleagues and the city manager get the opportunity to listen to, similar concerns we hear every day in our office. And so I'm glad that Jerry, he's in the back, and maybe he can have a little bit more of a conversation as to what we can do. There are some efforts, as the city manager expressed, in terms of what we're trying to do. And I also have my chief of staff back there, Terry Cox, who can make sure we get your information so that we're in touch to see how we can ensure that we're solving this issue.
Thank you very much.
Thank you again. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Next is 2 o'clock timed item number 2, appearance by Holly Carter to discuss discolored water. Good afternoon and welcome.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you for allowing me to speak before the Council today. My name is Holly Carter, and I live in Northeast Fresno. Earlier this year, I was approached by concerned citizens who asked me to create a group to help communicate our concerns over the contaminated drinking water in Northeast Fresno. The name of our group is Fresno Citizens for Clean Water. Our goal is to provide a single voice to avoid having the city receive hundreds of calls from citizens all asking the same question. We have an extraordinary communication infrastructure in place with over 1,200 members and counting. Today we are here to offer our resources to help with the distribution of information to the public. First, we appreciate the efforts that have been made so far to investigate the cause of the lead in our drinking water. We are here today to suggest some ideas that we believe will provide confidence to the public that the city is fixing the problem. There's not a lot of confidence in the public today, and we hope to help regain confidence that the city is taking this seriously and that we are indeed moving closer to a solution. We are requesting that the city create a multi-agency task force. This group would consist of city, county, state, and federal representatives, including the EPA and the Department of Prevention of Lead Poisoning in Children. This group would include stakeholders, industry experts, and representatives from the citizens group. This group would meet regularly until the problem is solved. We are also requesting the city schedule a council workshop in 2 months to keep the council and the public updated on the status of this group's efforts to solve this problem. These workshops would be ongoing until the problem is solved. We are requesting that the map on the city website be updated at least monthly to reflect homes affected and homes that have tested positive for lead. Get this to turn. Here are some of our unaddressed concerns. We are given inconsistent messages. The mayor says the water is safe to drink, but the city is providing bottled water to some and telling others not to drink the water. What is the scope of the problem? Are the laterals that feed the city water into our neighborhoods being inspected as well? We understand they are made of galvanized pipe, which would mean they would also be subject to the corrosion that would negate our efforts to solve this problem by replumbing our homes. If the laterals are affected, the water will continue to contain lead even after we replace our pipes. Some members of our group have already had their home values affected. Lenders will not lend on properties that have corrosive water. Citizens who need to sell their home cannot do so until this is resolved. Are there instances of lead in water that is not discolored? Again, we're here to help. We respectfully urge the council to implement these suggestions so we can regain confidence that the city is taking this issue as seriously as we are. I'm happy to answer any questions, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay. On our agenda, next is...
I'm going to ask, because this is streamed live, there was a comment about contaminated water. I want to make it very clear the water is not contaminated. We have representatives here. Ms. Carter, we are working with the state, who is in discussions with the EPA. We are working with the county. Dave Palmaville is here, who can speak to this issue. We are doing a lot of the things that you've asked for already. They're already in place. A lot of the questions you've already asked, we've answered. We will step up our obviously we need to step up our communication efforts. We aggressively, as I promised to the community about 4 weeks ago, we did mail out a mailer to the 93720 and 93730 zip code. We have gotten a lot of responses to that. We've also sent direct mailers out to zip codes west of State Route 41. We've gotten responses from those communities. We are also in discussions with other cities, including Clovis, about discolored water situations or issues or complaints that come from their communities or occurring in their community as well, in order so we can get a better handle on what the issue is. I absolutely agree with you. We need to isolate whether it's the lateral, as you pointed out, that is the source of the issue. Is it the piping in the slab that's the source of the issue, or is it one faucet in one fixture in a bathroom that somebody doesn't use periodically? Your point is well taken. There is a whole number of variables in this, which is why we're doing the outreach that we are. We understand and appreciate the frustration of the residents. This has been going on since 2004, 2005. We are also conducting an investigation as to what happened during that period, who was in the chain of command, who knew about this, what were the conversations going on at that time and during since then. And we plan on having a workshop with the community within the next 45 to 60 days just to update them, if not sooner. So we will continue to work with the community. We'll work with the council member who represents the community. And we're certainly in dialogue with your group when we can to provide update information because it is important for the residents to know accurately what is going on with their water supply. And we're trying to get to a bottom of a very dynamic issue right now. So thank you. And Tommy, I would really quickly ask you, maybe if I missed anything, if you could come up and just, if I missed anything, please, for the audience here as well as for those who are listening at home, identify any other things that we're doing that might help provide some confidence that Ms. Carter has noted.
So we, I did want to clarify that there is an old water district up in that area that we inherited. It's one of the comments we've had before. Every time we take over a county island or something, we bear the burden of trying to correct things after the fact. So there is iron pipe in that distribution system, and we are replacing it right now. So the service lines will be replaced, the pipeline will be replaced, so all of that will be plastic. And so that's been in the works for a while, and that construction will start. So that's actively going on. The comment that the water supply is contaminated is another one that we want to clarify. The water supply is not contaminated. The issues we're seeing are occurring on the private property side of the homes, and we're trying to understand that reaction. We're trying to understand how that's working. We've taken our data right now. We've taken about 750. We've taken 41,000 data points we've collected in about 300 homes. So we take aluminum through zinc. We have collected a lot of data on the homes up in that area. About 750 of those data points are for lead. And of those, 69, so less than 10% of them, are showing a concern with the lead. So we're at about 9% of the faucets that we've tested have an issue, and again, we're trying to understand how that's occurring. But it's a 10% number that we're really kind of focused on. The original thing that got us started was the discoloration. That's where we started at, and we've been kind of getting after the discoloration. I think your comment about we're working with the state, we're working with the school district, we're working with the State Water Resource Control Board and the County Health Department is dead on. We communicate with them regularly to try and keep. What do you know? What do we know? What are you seeing? What are we seeing? And we share the data. We throw the data over to the county and have them assess it. One of the things we're working on right now on the survey got sent out in that area 93720 and 30. It's about 16,000 homes. I've been reporting 14,000 because I was reporting down to alluvial. If you take 20, it goes down to, or 30 goes down to Herndon. I think we've gotten 500 survey responses back out of the 16,000 postcards that were mailed. So we're still open. People can still respond, but we've gotten 500 responses so far through that method, and so we're still holding it open and we've gotten a lot more responses on the west side that we're kind of working through right now. So it's very active every day. This is what we're doing. Got to get after the lead. Got to get after the color. Working with the state, working with the county.
And speaking of the county, Mr. Palmerville, could you also come up? I'd like you to add any comments. Is there anything, and if there is anything else you think the City of Fresno should be doing that we currently are not doing?
Could you identify yourself for the record and your position, please, sir?
Good afternoon, Council. Dave Palmerville. I'm the Director of Public Health for Fresno County, and we've been involved on this project since about February of this year, and really wanting to review the data and understand what's happening in the community. One of the first things that we did do was to alert our team that monitors childhood lead poisoning in the community, and our nurse, Mary Morrison's here. She's been monitoring the lead results. We went back and looked at data in all of Fresno, but looked at the 2 zip codes, see if there's anything extraordinary. We did not identify anything that was out of the ordinary, but that is a limited data set. There's about 20,000 blood lead samples that we receive every year, and we screen all of them. Anyone that has an elevated concentration of blood lead is notified by letter, and if it's a high enough level, we actually send a case manager out. There's nothing different in the 2 zip codes that you're concerned with regard to discolored water that we've seen, but we continue to monitor the situation. We've alerted all of the physicians in the community, just as a heads up, because we want them to be aware of lead poisoning. Our information that we've gathered over the years points to other sources of lead in the community that we're concerned about. Primarily, the lead exposures that we see are associated with lead-based paint, some cosmetics, and other sometimes food products that come from out of the country. So we're concerned about that. When we have childhood lead poisoning cases that are investigated, we look into all those sources. But we're going to continue to work on this. I can't think of anything right now the city needs to be doing differently, but we will continue to collaborate with the city and the state on this issue.
Bill, in relation to the entire county, where is the 93720 and 93730 zip code areas in relation to other parts of the county as far as reports of lead poisoning or lead issues?
So the numbers of the cases that we get typically are individuals who are enrolled in Medi-Cal or the Childhood Disability Prevention Program. Those are screens that are automatically required for physicians to do. The numbers that we see are just slightly better for those 2 zip codes than we see in other parts of the community. But we don't know that there's a statistical difference, but we don't see anything out of the ordinary.
And for council, Mr. Escueda mentioned it was 16,000 of these postcards that went to 93720 and 93730. In actuality, we've sent out 45,000 postcards because, again, we're looking for input from areas outside of those 2 zip codes. So that also includes 93710, which is just a little south, I think, of Herndon. But we've also, in Councilmember Brandau, in your district, because we're trying to look at homes that were built in the same year or same period, 1989 to 1999, to see if there's any similarities or if there's anything different between the two, because, again, it was the same builder, same construction material, same building processes, same things like that. So it is a very dynamic situation. Again, we're trying to get to a resolution of this issue that has been going on for way too long. But again, as we shared, you can't just make one adjustment or just make push a button and expect it to be fine for the 200 or 300 or in our case 400 or 500 houses without potentially impacting the chemistry for the other 16,000 or 15,000 homes in that area. So we'll continue to keep you updated. And Ms. Carr, if you could just tell us, if we would love to be able to post information via your website. If we could have that opportunity to do that, that would be another opportunity for us to get the information out to the community as well.
Thank you. Member Brand, and for those that wish to comment, we're going to have an unscheduled communication period, so everyone that wants to discuss any item can do so, but we'd really like to take care of the agenda. But at this point, if Member Brand, it's your opportunity.
I'll be brief. I want to thank all the
Excuse me? Sir, I told you what we're going to do. If you
Sir,
want
I have plans too, and I have
would you please
town hall.
come forward and take care of this man, please? Thank you very much. Member Brand.
As I was saying, I'll be brief. I'll thank the residents for showing up and put a little perspective in this problem. We have tracked this. The city has went back years, and it looks as though this surfaced early in 2004 and almost disappeared about 2007, and then resurrected in big numbers in 2016. I think primarily, I believe, to social media and neighbors next door that people started connecting the dots. I think there were issues that were going on that this weren't being reported, but I think it's time that this came up in large enough numbers to warrant a thorough investigation. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the city spent about $250,000 so far on the investigation.
It's probably the number 3 weeks ago. The number's probably gone up substantially since that time because we are now embarking on additional water testing. We are also doing some very aggressive pipe sampling and testing as well.
Anyway, and the city, as you've heard from the health department director and others, the city did engage, which it probably should have done years ago, state water resources, county health department, EPA, private experts to identify the problem. And it's not an easy problem that they've stated before. There's a lot of anomalies here, but it seems to focus primarily on galvanized pipe, primarily between 1989 and 1999 that was manufactured by Asian manufacturers. And also the Northeast plant that went online in 2004 in terms of the pH level that was being done, and I think they're still working on that. But my goal is to make sure that before we conclude this investigation that we find the solutions to this problem and that nobody, whether you're in Northeast Fresno or any area of Fresno, has discolored water or any level of lead that's considered unsafe. That's our goal. That's our responsibility. Thank you.
Member Randall.
Thank you, Council President. Dave, could I ask you another question, please? So the lead thing, did I get you correct when you're basically saying these two zip codes do not have a lead problem above any other area of Fresno and even better than some areas of Fresno?
Well, we looked at the data that we had available to us, the lead screening that's done. So the lead detection is really done. You know, lead is a serious problem. Lead contamination, particularly in children, is a serious problem. So there's a screening program that's currently in place for children to be tested for blood lead. And then those results are monitored over time. When we look at the zip codes we're talking about, that's one of the first things we did is said, is there something really out of the ordinary with regard to those two zip codes? And we could not see a significant difference between those two zip codes with the data that we have available. With that said, the potential for lead contamination still exists, and the recommendations that we have worked with the city on in terms of good practices to have in place, particularly if they have discolored water, is to let that water run for a few minutes, and that clears the lead. This condition could exist in any faucet that's been manufactured before 2010 in any part of the community. Those conditions could exist. So it's generally a good practice to let that water run for the first few minutes, and that will address the lead issue.
But you've been involved in this area since February, and you have not seen a spike of that type of problem, a lead problem in this area?
No, nor would we expect to have seen that, but we didn't just rely on that. We looked at the data, but we would
not. We have a lot of people in our community saying that. They're saying a lot of stuff like, this is Fresno's Flint, Michigan, for instance, and stuff like that. Yeah. So I had to clarify that.
Yeah, thank you. And our message from the health department, and our health officer, Dr. Bird, couldn't be here today, but he's been monitoring the situation as well. The recommendations that we're making to the city to advise the community and so forth remain the same. And we need to be alert about lead concerns in the community. It is a serious issue. We typically find the sources when we have lead cases that we're investigating are associated with things other than water, and that's in general, not just in North Fresno.
And we have a lead paint remediation program here at the city as well. You did also say that you didn't think the city needed to do anything dramatically different than the path that we're currently on to continue the investigation?
Yeah, we're in communication with your staff on a regular basis, and so the adjustments that we've seen and the surveillance that they're doing, I think they have offered to test people's homes for lead. We appreciate that. I think that's an important step to determine if there's lead contamination in a home. There's follow-up done with regard to notification of the residents. And when we have those high lead cases, I think they're going back in and trying to make a determination what's causing that particular problem. Those are the steps we think need to be taken, and those need to be continued.
Fantastic. And did you say your nurse was here?
Yes, Mary Morrison's here.
Could I hear from Mary, please, real quick?
Good afternoon. I'm Mary Morrison. I'm our CLIP coordinator, our childhood lead poisoning prevention coordinator, and a public health nurse.
Thanks, Mary. Thanks for coming today. I don't know who invited you, if Bruce invited you or just saw that it was on our agenda and decided to come, but you've been out investigating. You know, you've heard some of the claims about the water in Northeast Fresno, and you've been out investigating because, as Dave said, potential lead poisoning is very threatening to any community.
Correct.
So what did you find in these zip codes?
We've looked at the data that we have just from 2011 on, and we haven't seen an increase in this area or a spike in this area. And overall, our program's been here since 1991, and I believe we had one instance where there was a possible related case to lead, and that was many years ago in the 90s. Okay. So we haven't seen an increase in this particular area or any area. And as Mr. Palmaville said, we test about 20 to 22,000 individuals in Fresno County every year for lead poisoning.
Thank you, Mary. I appreciate that. And I'm through, so okay. I appreciate you coming up. So my question is to everybody holding signs. If I could get your attention, Holly and the others that are holding signs. Do you guys disagree with this nurse and the county health official? I mean, you're asking for the county to get involved. Do you guys disagree with the expert? Okay. I mean, you think...
Can I just share with you what the thoughts are? So childhood lead poisoning is become an epidemic across the country, not just Fresno. Because of that, they implemented a policy that any child who's on Medi-Cal, that they're supposed to be having the children be tested for lead. So the results that we're hearing are going to be representative of a lower economic cluster of children, and so it would be something that the parent would need to do to take their children or their family and get tested for lead. It's not something that's going to be automatically done when they go for their physicals. Even with this mandate by federal or state, whatever it is, to test the children who are on Medi-Cal or any kind of subsidy, it's still not being done at the rate it should. So my point is this, that the results that you're seeing that are being reported are not necessarily going to be representative of Northeast Fresno, because it's the more affluent part. Not to say that there aren't children on Medi-Cal in North Fresno, but it's just not going to be a good representation. So I think what we're going to need to do is look at this point going forward, because frankly this has been such a short timeline that we're just now having to get the awareness out, education out to the parents to go test. So I think it's a great question, and I'm glad to hear that. I just don't know that that's representative of Northeast Fresno and what we're going to be finding.
Well, they just said they've spent extra time in Northeast Fresno since February because they had also heard of this water problem, and they wanted to make sure that...
Well, I actually spoke with Mary about a month, 6 weeks ago, and it was the first she had heard of it.
Okay, so Mary, you're shaking your head no.
Yes, I had a phone call with her. She actually called me at the request of somebody from the EPA, particularly in the Childhood Lead Prevention Department, had her call me, and she said that it was the first that she had heard of it, that she had not seen any spike in our area, and I said we were just now beginning to proactively encourage this community to test themselves and their children for lead.
Okay. Mary, you're still shaking your head. You don't recall that conversation?
No, I recall.
Okay, all right. But it's, you know, Holly, it sounds like they're out there testing for lead, and it sounds like now you're willing to let the investigation continue, and so that it's, you know, there's a time involved that it takes to gather all that data. But we have two of the experts that you are appealing to City Council to start working with experts, which come to find out we already have been doing.
No, that's not what we're asking.
That's what you said in your 3 minutes.
Okay, well, let me re-clarify. What we're asking for is a multi-agency task force that also includes representatives of the citizens group, where we have EPA, childhood lead prevention, all of those together, including industry experts that can help us figure out what's the cause and what's the solution. I mean, we're focused on trying to bring this to a solution, and we're trying to do that by working with the council.
And you have two of the experts here. When you're saying what is the cause for what, they're actually saying there's not a problem out there.
We haven't had enough time yet to go out and push testing in Northeast Fresno.
So you're going to give Fresno, the city of Fresno, the government of the city of Fresno time to look at this problem?
What we asked for in our statement earlier was to begin a multi-agency task force where we could begin to look at issues such as making sure the children and families are being tested for lead, because once it's in your body, it doesn't ever leave, which is why it's part of the problem. That would have been part of the conversation. Since I only had 3 minutes, I didn't want to go into a long, exhaustive list of what our concerns were. But yes,
so do you think it's wrong to do the Flint, Michigan?
No, because what happened in Flint,
wrong.
Michigan is exactly what's happening to our pipes. It was just a change in water. It wasn't the water. It was the treatment of the water that caused the damage in Flint, Michigan.
Yeah, the city of Fresno is looking at that, but to go around and tell our community on Facebook that that this is our Flint, Michigan, is like yelling fire in a theater.
Do you realize that there are people here in this audience that have been communicating and meeting with mayors and council representatives and city staff since 2004? For 12 years, they've had water with lead in it.
And the city of Fresno is aggressively looking at those individual situations, right?
And the mayor said earlier this year that the water was safe to drink, and then we're getting correspondence that says don't drink the water. When we asked for bottled water for the, at that time, 39 homes that were testing positive for lead, we were told no. We reached out to the State Water Resource Agency, and they said there was no funding. At this point, I think it is only a humane and due diligent thing to do to provide bottled water to the 39 homes that have young children, that have perhaps pregnant women, the most vulnerable population, to provide bottled water to them while we go through the process. We're not here to say we want an answer today. We're here to say we'd like to be part of the solution. And so we brought forth some ideas that we thought would be helpful, the ways that we can work with you, and then have this task force work, then do this council workshop where you're updated, we're updated, and that way we're working together and it can instill the confidence in the community. But what happened in Flint is exactly what's happening here. It was not that the water was bad, it's that the water was not treated with corrosion inhibitors and it caused the pipes to erode. And it's not just Flint, it's happening across the country.
And I've heard Councilman Brand talk about that. I've heard Bruce Rudd talk about it. I've heard Tommy Escueda talk about it. I don't think that, the signs are saying less denial, more action. I'm not saying there's not a place for this conversation. I'm saying the accusations are as if the city of Fresno's not trying to look at the problem.
This sign says, please be the council that solves the problem. These are folks that have been fighting this battle for 12 years. We're not coming to you saying that this is your fault. What we're saying is we'd like to be, you guys be the ones that solve the problem.
And here's the great thing. And finally we can come together, because this will be the council that will solve the problem.
That's right.
Not the council of 2004, not the council of 2006. This council will solve this problem. And we're on top of it.
And that's why we started by saying thank you for the efforts that you've done and pointing out some things that we think can help manage the fear while we move forward and keep things looking transparent, because we are getting mixed messages. I mean, when the mayor says the water's safe to drink, and then we're being provided bottled water and told not to drink the water, you can imagine that would be somewhat confusing. especially when there's people that have, young children and pregnant women, and they're the most vulnerable population. So we are here to help.
Yep, I appreciate that. And we just voted, we did our city budget just 4 weeks ago, and we voted, I think, $750,000. No, it's
it was
not, I think. It's $750,000.
Yes. And we're very grateful for that. Again, our concern at this point, since we have people that are at their own expense replumbing their homes, if we find out that the laterals are affected and the laterals are made of galvanized pipe, then we've just replumbed houses that they're still going to be getting lead. So we have real fears, and the group is trying to come together and, without emotion, just put together a list of our concerns and then figure out how we can go about addressing them and coming to a solution. Because we want to work with this council to solve the problem, because we believe that you can.
We will. Thank you,
Thank
Holly.
you.
So,
Thank you, Council President.
So again, Mr. Esqueda, Tommy, I think for the audience, again, this analogy, this is Flint. There is a night and day difference between Fresno and Flint. One being that the pipes used in Flint to deliver the water from the utilities district were made out of, or had.
We don't have any lead service lines or lead plumbing in the city of Fresno, and they were lead service lines and lead plumbing in Flint, and we don't have that problem here.
Right.
And we do not have any galvanized laterals in the city of Fresno, with the exception of Old Fort Washington, which is being replaced as we speak.
So for clarification, the lateral for some of us was the line that ran in my interpretation of the lateral, was the line that runs from the meter to the house. In the case of Fort Washington, I understand what that means, because it's a lateral off the main.
Lateral off the main.
And so that
the county built it with
the county built it.
Right.
And it's one of those things in our infinite wisdom, we adopted a very old water system on behalf of the county. I still can't figure out why we did that, but nevertheless, that's what we did back in the day. Tommy, also, if you could, and this gives you a good example of how this is such a hard issue to address, because in one case we had a home that reported that we were testing that reported lead levels above the reportable level on groundwater, and we went and turned because we had turned the plant off, and then we turned the plant back on, and the lead levels went below the detectable level on surface water. But we got everyone complaining that the problem is with surface water. But for somebody who has one fixture, whether it's a kitchen or a bathroom, that is that whatever the reason, and I get the standard, because the standard now with all the fixtures, it's 2000.
January 1st, 2014, everything had to be lead-free.
Everything is lead-free. So everything built in this town and everything built in this country, every fixture has potential to, over time, as it deteriorates, to begin to have lead as a potential issue.
There was a recognition at EPA and at the U.S. Congress that lead from fixtures is a problem, and so the law went into effect January 1st, 2014. Lead-free fixtures, fittings, everything in a household plumbing has to be lead-free.
So if there's one fixture in one part of the house, I guess I would ask you, or as a parent, I think I'd go down to my local hardware store and just buy a new fixture.
The two things that we're seeing, since we've started the study, again, we had 49 homes. We've had 45 homes over the course of the study from January to now that had an indoor plumbing fixture above the action level. We've made some changes. We've asked some residents to help us do some adjustments in how they're using water. That number is now 37. We've actually moved some folks off of that list because we've been able to mitigate through other means. What we're looking to do now is identify those of the 37 homes that we still have on the list that we want to get back to. 4 of them are kitchen sinks. All the rest of them are a bathtub sink, something I never use, rarely use. So we've got 4 sinks that were really kitchen sinks that we're really trying to get after. So that's 4 kitchen sinks out of 750 sinks and faucets that we've tested. So that's that needle in the haystack we're trying to find, is what is it about those 4 that again, I've said this other places, it's the Sesame Street one of these things is not like the other. We're trying to figure why is that thing not like the other, and we're really working on it. And again, we've got some homes that we've identified. Again, cannot thank the residents of Northeast Fresno enough for the samples they've given us, the testing they let us do, the adjustments in their use patterns that they've taken to help us learn more about what's going on. And again, we've moved some of those homes off the list, and we're continuing to try and drop more off the list with some changes.
And did you ever hear the mayor say, "Don't drink the water"?
Yet I can't recall that statement.
Ms. Carr, I've got to ask. I have never heard Mayor Swearingen ever make a statement to the public about not drinking the water. Oh, I thought I heard you say that. Okay, well, okay. So the mayor did say the water is safe to drink, and you're just. Well, that's not this mayor, and we're still trying to figure out. So there's 10 residents, and we're still trying to figure out
five residents,
5 homes. We're trying to figure out what the logic was with that when they did that. But it wasn't this mayor, and it wasn't this council. Now, okay. Well, we're testing your house now, and we'll still continue to work with you. But we have no idea why that council, why that department, why they did what they did. But we are going to, as Councilmember Browndow pointed out, this isn't the council. This is a council that has taken the cans that previous councils have kicked down the road. This is the mayor that's taken on issues that have been kicked down the road before. So this is the council, this is the mayor, and this is the administration that will get to the bottom of this issue.
And just finally, of the 69 faucets that have reported elevated levels of lead above the action level, 30 of them, so about half, occurred while those homes were running groundwater. So that's how the data keeps kind of jumping around. We think we got it, and then we're like, wow, almost half the incidences of this condition are occurring on groundwater. So we're looking at both sides. So first we were kind of chasing the surface water, and then we're taking a double look at the groundwater, which is why the manager said, you know what? Let's get over to Northwest Fresno and see things on Northwest Fresno.
I'm going to just pipe up real quick. Council President, this dialogue and discussion is highly unusual for a scheduled communication topic. I think that clearly we probably should have this discussion and maybe more of a workshop where information can be brought forth and can be shared with the public. But this is really not a constructive dialogue happening right now. So I would respectfully ask that we treat this as we would any other scheduled communication and allow the comments to be made and then move on to another time.
I agree with that comment. Thank you. We have 2 more on the screen. What is your pleasure? Would you like to?
I would actually like to continue since we kind of opened it up. I think we should.
We're not going to continue, but you can have the floor.
Well, just ask a couple questions that I had.
It's your opportunity.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I wasn't going to say anything, but I just want to ask a couple questions that came to mind as I'm hearing folks to bring up the issue. And so just wanted to know, I guess, Bruce, is this just isolated to North Fresno? I just want to make sure I know that I don't have any part of North Fresno. I represent South. So just to be clear, have we made any efforts to make sure that this is not happening in other areas of the city?
Well, that's why we're doing the mailer that we did, where we've expanded it out of Northeast Fresno, because we want to determine whether or not this is an issue elsewhere. I've had anecdotal stories. We've had some people from Northwest Fresno report that they've had discolored water out of one fixture in a back bathroom. We've also looking at reports from Clovis, who also have reported to the state incidents of discolored water. We're trying to get the information as to what was the cause for that. So yes, that's why we've expanded this investigation to make sure it's not just one particular area, but if there's an issue citywide, we have an ability to address it.
So I heard you when you said that, but you said that you guys expanded it to Northwest Fresno. Does that include any part of District 1, south of Shaw, or is it just everything north of Shaw?
It was north of Shaw, and let me explain the reason why. Because we were looking at a particular age of home and the material that was used at that time in home construction. In particular, the galvanized pipe that was made out of Korea. Most of the homes, or the vast majority of homes built before the 80s, late 80s, had, as Tommy would call it, good old American galvanized pipe. So what we're trying to do is do an apples and apples and compare the same kind of house or same vintage home with the homes in Northeast.
Would it be out of the realm of our duties to kind of expand that outreach and just let the community know if you guys are having issues, there's this phone number that you can call just so that we are covering full ground? I think I would recommend that, because I know while I may not represent the districts up north, I think that I would be concerned that any neighborhood in my district may have, any type of issues.
So we've gotten some calls from the Tower District, and we put them on the sampling. It's a very small number, but
so I would actually ask the city to look at doing much more wider outreach, and not only in English. Make sure that we're doing language. That's always my ask. So that folks know that we do have the resources to answer their questions, because I know that there's been the talk about it being in Northeast Fresno, but I just want to make sure that this information is spread across the city, and that we're, I get it that there's a particular neighborhood that has been experiencing this issue for, 12 years. And I want to thank you guys for taking your time to be here and sit, here for an hour and a half to show that you guys are concerned. The other thing that I also, wanted to ask, so you guys sent out 45,000 notices, or
45 direct mailers.
Okay. And that was, so can we do additional ones, or is there?
We can target some other zip codes. So, what we were looking at, again, when I talk about the manner in which homes were built, some of the failures that we've experienced in the pipe has been in the slab. It's been a particular brand of pipe. Homes built south of Shaw is when you start getting into a pier beam or an elevated foundation. It's not on the ground. Whereas homes built from about the 70s north, so Shaw north, is where you start having homes built with, they're at grade, or the pipe is in the slab rather than on an elevated off the ground. We could probably take it and put something in, it's a phone number and a website to do a survey. So maybe the easiest way is maybe target a couple more zip codes further south, because again, the construction practices back then.
And can I suggest something? So we have a utility bill that gets sent out to all
we've done that. We can do that, but we were criticized in the past.
Okay.
We did that in the 70s, and we were criticized. And we just recently that people don't read that, but we'll put something.
But can it be part of like a little, like in a different color? If there are any issues, concerns, call this number.
Yeah, we can do that.
I think
Absolutely. That's
that's
easy.
a way of everyone getting the information. And I know that folks have said that this has taken 12 years, and it was highlighted in 2004. It left in it disappeared in 2007, and then it kind of came back again. I'm not sure in terms of the history, but have we figured out a way how to make sure that we address this in the future, so that it doesn't take us, a lot longer to get notices out, to make sure that people feel like they have the proper information, or the proper information to contact us and, communicate with folks?
Well, again, we're going to have some additional community meetings. We just now, I think, yesterday, Tommy, probably within the next 2 days on the Fresco app, you'll be able to report discolored water, which will allow us to geocode it. That was something that's been in the works now for the last couple of weeks. We certainly can get the information out to the council districts as that information comes in. And we certainly work with community groups like Ms. Carter. If she would allow us to be able to post stuff on her website, that would certainly be helpful. I understand we've had problems with our ability to do that in the past, but I believe she indicated that would be appropriate. So we'll work with her to get information out there. And then any other stakeholders in your districts that you would like us to communicate this information with, we'd be happy to work with your district offices to do that.
Perfect. And then just wanted to bring up, because I think I heard that we hadn't complied with some state reporting, so we're up to date, and we're making sure that, I guess, when
yes, and in fact, by the fact that we're putting this on the Fresco app, we will be probably ahead of a lot of cities, because they will be able to report this, and this information then will be conveyed to the state on a monthly basis based on zip code. And the nice thing, as you know about this app, is that it geocodes where the complaint comes from, so that we'll be able to identify exactly the location in which the complaint originated from.
Okay, and then just last question and clarification on budget monies that we allocated. The budget monies that we allocated are not just specifically for Northeast Fresno. If issues arise in another area, like I know he just mentioned that Tower District folks, there's a couple concerns. So if other folks have similar concerns and there are issues, they will be able to access monies.
Well, we're still working through the details.
If that's the case.
And if it's a, again, we were looking at homes that were built during a particular era using a particular type or brand of galvanized pipe, because it seems to be a common denominator with a lot of these homes, is that it's again pipe that was being provided to developers by the suppliers starting around 1988, 1989. We don't seem to have problems with homes that were built prior to that. Again, that was made USA-made pipe.
But if any issues arise in terms of kind of similar to what's happening in North, folks would be able to access the funds.
If it's related to the galvanized pipe, then we can certainly look at that, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Those are all my questions.
Member Olivier.
Thank you, Council President. And I just wanted to thank the residents who've come out here today. And it's true, somebody down there mentioned that your time is valuable, and it really is. And anytime we get folks who've come down here to make their case, we appreciate it, believe me. I also agree with my colleague, Councilmember Brandow, who says that this council will fix this. We will address this, and we will fix it. Oftentimes, the questions and the discussion that come from this dais sound harsh, and the tone is rough. But the reality is, and I feel very comfortable speaking for my colleagues up here on the dais, is that it is a caring group of people who are interested in truth and who are not interested in scams, not interested in pulling the wool over anyone's eyes. This municipal services agency exists to provide health and safety for our neighbors, and that is what we will do in this case. And that's kind of related to I only had a couple of questions, and I guess I would like our public health nurse from the County of Fresno to return to the lectern. We've heard pregnant women mentioned. I'm interested in the number of people who have tested, have elevated levels of, and I'm not a physician, and I don't know if I'm using the correct terminology, elevated levels of lead in their systems.
So on average, there are about 22,000 individuals in Fresno County who get tested every year for a blood lead level. Of those, less than 5% are at an intervention level, and that is based on the amount of lead in their blood. Most of those are in the lower blood lead levels, where we send information and provide education, and we'll talk to them by phone and request repeat testing. Everyone that has a blood lead level should have a repeat test, and so all those we
Okay. I'm sorry, if you can finish.
So we will follow those, and our program is a childhood lead poisoning prevention program, so we will see anyone 21 and under.
Have we identified in the list of residences who are suffering from this problem, have we identified the children who live there, and can we get them in for a test? I know I'm one of these parents. I have a 12-year-old and a 2.5-year-old, and I'm one of these parents that if the kid stubs his toe or something, I'm rushing into the doctor to have him checked out. Has this been the case with our affected residences? Do we know how many children live in the affected residences, and have we tested them for lead?
So we looked at the data that we had from 2011 and are currently working with the state for data previous to that to see how many residents. So over 900 individuals tested in that area since 2011, and only 29 had a blood lead level that would require any intervention at all. And of those, none of those became what we call a state case, which would require a public health nurse home visitation and an environmental assessment.
So they're sent home with literature?
We
told to...
get every blood lead test, and we send everyone, every report that we get every lab, and we send every one of those information regarding lead testing and lead prevention.
Of the 900 since 2011, do we know off the top of our heads how many of them are children or pregnant women?
I'm afraid I don't have that information. I don't
Okay.
have that information. But our continued message is that children 6 and under do get tested, and that parents talk to their providers. There are some requirements as far as if you're receiving Medi-Cal or a childhood health and disability program, that you're tested at 12 and 24 months. But our message, which is on our website, is that children 6 and under get tested, predominantly those in those fields or live in a home before 1978. And those older children or pregnant women or adults discuss with their provider about testing.
And this question could be for you, and it's my final question, or for Mr. Esqueda. Do you think that it would be beneficial to isolate these affected residences and request that everyone come in to be tested, so that way that the government organizations that are going to be helping here know if people are being sickened? Would it be? And I don't know how many of you have come in and had your blood drawn. I'm assuming that's how they test it,
right.
So that way we can understand the gravity and the potential impact to public health of these affected residences.
That's not something that I could say. Again, our message is that children at least 6 and under are tested, and if parents have a concern, then they should be talking to their provider about being tested for themselves and their children.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Member Brand.
I was going to say that I'll bring a workshop back to the council the next few months as we get results back from the surveys that were sent out, and we have more time to gather the data. Anybody, too, that wants to anything further, you can contact my office. We'll be glad to help out. I know I've talked to a few people already out there, so you're welcome to come to my office. Thank you.
Okay. You'll have your opportunity during unscheduled communication. Traditionally, we finish the agenda. You've all been very patient this afternoon, so we will, at this point, go to unscheduled communications. And we've got cards that have been submitted, so we'll go through the cards, and each person will have 3 minutes and 3 minutes only to voice your opinion on whatever topic you want to address under unscheduled communication. The first card I have here is Justice Medina. So it's your opportunity to speak to the council. Please give us your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Justice Medina. I'm just a bit confused because I came here for clarity. So is the water safe to drink, yes or no? Can you drink this for me, please? Can you drink this for me, please? You're not going to drink this? Okay, cool. I thought it was safe to drink. But anyways, I had just some questions that I wrote down. I just came here to just open up the conversation. I'm not here to paint you guys as the enemy. Plainly put, though, I have no respect for this man right here. We have to get him out of office.
Sir, he's not in office. Address your comments to me.
Okay, I'll talk to you then. Also, the mayor needs to go and Jerry Dyer needs to go as well. But anyways, with a simple yes or no, I'm going to ask for accountability from each council member. Do you stand with the community or do you stand against us? So I'll start with the city clerk. Yes or no?
Sir, address the question.
Okay, so I'll start with the council president. Do you stand with the community, yes or no?
I'm not going to answer your question.
Okay.
It's your opportunity to speak to me.
Oliver L. Baines, do you stand with the community, yes or no? Thank you. Steve, do you stand with the community, yes or no? Esmeralda, do you stand with the community, yes or no? Thank you. Lee Brand, do you stand with the community, yes or no? Yes. Thank you. Clinton J. Oliver, do you stand with the community, yes or no? Bruce Rudd, do you stand with the community, yes or no? Thank you. So then who do we hold accountable? But anyways, I wanted to know, what are the policies set in place for officers who are offenders of police brutality? And is Jerry Dyer complying with Obama's 21st century policing policy? And if he is, can I also get the police policy, and can we line it up against Obama's 21st century police policy to make sure everything's being ran in line? Is that possible? Yes or no?
I think that they have implemented most of the 21st century policing.
Yeah.
We can show you that. Yeah.
Is there a way I can get a copy of that? Okay.
Yeah.
For sure. And then also I have a list of police officers that have committed shootings. So Daniel Astacio has 2 shootings since 2009. Andre Benson, 2 shootings. Tom Canellis, 2 shootings. Alfred Campos, 2 shootings. Alfonso Castillo, 2 shootings. Paul Cervantes, 2 shootings. Stacy Colby, 2 shootings. Christopher Cooper, 4 shootings. Christopher Desmond, 2 shootings. Rick Harrell, 2 shootings. John Herring, 2 shootings. Justin Hoagland, 2 shootings. Daniel Gonzalez, 2 shootings. Carl McKnight, 2 shootings. Paige McQueer, 2 shootings. Gunter Mice, 5 shootings. Richard Nadeau, 2 shootings. Michael Palumo, 3 shootings. Kenan Rodems, 2 shootings. David, 2 shootings. Brian Sturgeon, 2 shootings. Rodolfo Tafoya, 2 shootings. Alan Telfero, 2 shootings. Matthew Vincent, 3 shootings. James Young, 2 shootings. What has been taking place to make sure that they're asking questions first and not shooting first? Because they're still employed, and they're still taking our tax dollars. So what training has been put in place to make sure that they're going to stop shooting first? Because we've seen Dylan Noble's video. He stood there for at least 30 to 45 seconds. If he had a gun and wanted to kill a police officer, he would have did it as soon as he got out of his car. He stood there. I watched the video.
Mr. Medina, your time is up. We have to.
So you're going to silence me?
Yes, we have to respect the other people in the audience. They have equal opportunity to speak as well.
So can you answer my questions before I move in?
Thank you. Have a seat.
So you're answering my questions.
Next is Kathy Omachi.
Hold on.
You wish to discuss death of a rave of it.
Because they don't stand here for us. You can kick me the fuck out because I don't care. Go ahead. Take me out. Because who's holding them accountable? You didn't want to drink the water because you know it's dirty. You don't have any questions. You can't answer any of my questions. You didn't even say you stand with us in our community.
Excuse me. Order, please. Order, please, or you can leave. Ms. Omachi, you have the floor. Thank you for your patience and courtesy, and you have an opportunity to speak. So, thank you for being patient, Kathy.
My name is Kathy Omachi, 759 F Street, Reedley, California. I'm currently co-chair for Chinatown Revitalization. On early Monday morning, the community lost an 18-year-old at a rave at Crest Theater. I am personally surprised that this has not happened sooner, in particular in Chinatown. We have, over the last almost 2 years, dealt with a rave going on, not so much on the situation for the young people, but the people who are making money off of them, having foam raves. Basically, for those of you who don't know what that is, have your staff look at any of the websites where you have young people in their underwear running around with foam at 3 a.m. up and down the streets, taking pictures of themselves, saying they are so wasted and they are so drunk. This is not what we need to have in Fresno. What we have talked with the city about is the unposted or unpermitted food that is at this rave in Chinatown at the Azteca Theater. Minors are drinking and being sold alcohol. The number of trash containers that are just dumped out in the street, and illegal parking in privately paid lots. There are hundreds and hundreds of kids at all ages going into the Azteca, and currently there are very few bathrooms that are functioning. What we want to have is a place at the table. There is currently a committee set up by a member of the council and their staff that is made up of code enforcement and city policing to review the raves that are being held at the Azteca. What we want as a community is a place at that table to be able to share the concerns of the businesses around where they're having underage individuals come in demanding alcohol, where you have other underage kids being allowed to run up and down the streets, going to their cars in underwear at 3 a.m. This rave and the rave at Crest did not have internal security nor external security. If we're going to allow our children in Fresno and the area to go to raves and possibly lose their lives, then you need to have the community at these meetings to voice their concerns and also look at a solution. Once again, it's not so much the young people because they're young. They may not be making the brightest and the best decisions, but their money is being taken for them to be able to have, quote, a good time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being respectful of everyone in the building. Appreciate that. You always are. Next is Mary Correa. Good afternoon, and
I'm overwhelmed now. I don't know after all this, but anyways.
Hey, Mary, would you please identify yourself and your address? I'm
My
glad
name
to
is
see
Mary
you.
Esther Correa. I was born and raised here in Fresno. I'm a lifelong resident. I live here part-time, half my there and here, and the other half in Hawaii. You all know that. Secondly, this is my roots, this is my city, and I really enjoy living here, but now I can't live here no more because you passed a law that I can't leave my home vacant or boarded, and I don't blame you because there's squatters, there's so many homeless here. They trash my house, they stole my stuff, they don't pay the bills, they don't, the one rent that I have, the rent rental, they don't pay, and then I get zapped. I get zapped by the code enforcement. Here I have a bill that I've been paying to the code enforcement for fines that they gave me because I don't have no idea, but I'm paying from since 2010, and here's my bill that I paid, over $2,000 for heaven knows what, because I'm not an absentee landlord, I'm not a trashy landlord, I fix my place, I don't rent nothing that I won't live in myself, but I can't live in my home anymore because of the laws that you passed that I can't leave my home vacant. Well, that's okay. I'm doing the best I can. But also, now I want to address the city, Brian Rims, whatever his name is. I've been paying. You know how much I've been paying. Every month I pay, or I miss a couple of months, but I came since I got here in March. I paid over $500 towards my water bill. And I didn't even get credit for that. I was forced to sign this agreement, forced. They told me that if I didn't sign this, that I would pay. Hello, I was paying more then than I am now. But he said that I'm going to pay, but sometimes, the mail is slower than other times. He told me, well, you should sell your house for $50,000 and get rid of it. I said, it's none of your business. It's my home. You can't. And to add insult to injury, he said, nobody listens to you because I'm right. Well, I'm going to keep on keeping on until I get justice because I'm a law-abiding citizen, a business lady, and a disabled senior citizen, and I'm being scammed by Brian Reams. He made me sign this, and I said, I'll sign it. I need to have the water put on. Good, I had it on, and now I'm fixing it. I rented one to Section 8, and I'm living in the other one, and now I have to, I don't like this contract. He said that if I'm late one day, that he's going to turn the water off. I have kids living in my Section 8 property now. And then he said, it says right here, reverse amount, $465, reverse amount $267 to come to an amount of $723, and this means that I have to pay for the broken water meters. That's outrageous. He says if you finish paying a year and a half, the $50, and you don't, if you're late one day, I'm going to turn your water off. And he said after you finish paying, I will reverse that $723 that I'm charging you. That's outrageous. This is theft. This is theft. And I'm going to keep on keeping on until I get justice because this is wrong.
Our next meeting is the 28th, and we'll see you then.
Pardon?
Our next meeting is July 28th, and I'll see you then.
I want to come back. I'm tired. The smog is getting to me. I didn't come last time because I was sick. I had to go to the doctor because of the smog.
Glad to see you're up and about.
Please try to reverse this. Why do I have to wait till I pay? I'm going to pay the bill I've always paid, but to his incompetence, I've been paying more back then than I am now.
Mary, we have other people that want to speak today.
Thank you.
Next is Steve
You
Decker.
need to reverse this 700-something bills now. Why am I being charged?
Mary?
This is outrageous. Thank you. I
welcome.
appreciate your patience.
Thank you. Mr. Decker, it's your opportunity. Name and address, please. You have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Steve Decker. I live at 9389 North Archie in Fresno, 93720. Earlier today, I witnessed a press conference put on by the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee and the Fresno Police Department and others announcing a educational campaign regarding bicycle, pedestrian, and motorist safety and awareness. And I just wanted to applaud the Action Committee and Fresno Police Department efforts, and thank you for your support. I am a cyclist, and I don't generally commute in the city limits unless I'm on my way with my friends on Saturday morning up to the foothills to ride my bike. But cyclist, pedestrian, motorist issues are very serious. There's been some high-profile collisions recently between cars and cyclists, resulting in serious injury and death. On a personal note, I've been subject to aggressive and behavior on behalf of motorists, and I'd hope that you guys would support the idea that if a cyclist or pedestrian lodges a complaint against a motorist regarding aggressive behavior, that at the very least the police would follow up, investigate, make arrests, and hold the motorist accountable if so deemed. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Decker. Next is Karen Carbello. After Karen will be Barbara Frederick. Good afternoon. If you give us your name and address, I'd appreciate it. You have to speak into the microphone so we can hear you.
Sorry, I'm not a speaker.
No worries. Relax. You're all right.
My name is Karen Carballo. I live at 2072 East Cromwell Avenue in Fresno, and I'm part of the residents in Northeast Fresno that has recently found out that we have the possibility of lead in our water. The only reason that I'm speaking now is I appreciate Bruce Rudd's help. I appreciate the council and the city. You all work hard. We're not trying to make problems. We're trying to find a solution because this is a health and safety issue. Mostly the communication part. You said you sent flyers out recently and postcards. I didn't receive one, and I know a lot of my neighbors haven't. I'm not blaming you. Stuff happens with postcards. Stuff doesn't get in mails. But it's the hit and miss. And the worst part is children. I've got 2 schools by me I know have not been tested, Mountain View Elementary and Maple Creek, and they are in the 93720. I know you guys have an awesome task, but if you're talking about little kids, that's important. You all have grandkids, you have children, and I know that you guys are working hard to do your best, and I appreciate it. But please get the communication out there because it's important. It's for all of us. I'm not talking about just Northeast. I'm talking about all of Fresno because we're all neighbors. And we should all care about each other. Okay? So thank you so much for at least trying to help us and find a solution.
Thank you for being here and your comments. Appreciate it. Barbara Frederick, and then after Barbara will be Larry England. Good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon. My name's Barbara Frederick, and I live in the 93720 area. And I wasn't sure I was going to get up and speak. I just thought I would listen, and if I had some comments on things that were said, which I wrote down on my check, back of a check. My concern is that I started having issues in 2004. I had contacted the water department. They came out and basically said, without doing any kind of investigation, you have bad pipes and you need to repipe your house. There were at least 20 people in my subdivision that came to a meeting at my house that were all having problems. Of course, a lot of the concerns with the neighbors at that time was if we have bad pipes, we don't want to say anything because then we're not going to be able to sell our houses. So that was a big issue at that point. There were several of us that got together again with someone from the water department, and we had our water tested. I don't know the results of the others. Mine tested at that time high in zinc. We were told, oh, don't worry about it, it's not going to hurt you. But I found later that zinc, copper, and iron, which over time can cause health issues. So we're not just speaking about I mean, that's our biggest concern is the lead, and especially with children, but there's also other health issues that we have to look at. I don't understand why that was never sent to the state about the water issues that we had in 2004 and 2005. But then now I've recently read a study that was done in 1998 that addressed this issue when they were first working on our water plant out there before it was turned on. And in that study, it said that if the water is not treated, that galvanized pipes will corrode. And there were suggestions of what the city could do to add to the water. And from what I understand, that it was never done. So now our pipes are all corroding, and we have a big issue on our hands. And it's also an issue as far as how much money that we're going to have to put out each of the households to have our houses repiped. Is my time up yet? No? Also, there was something said about only 10% of our faucets have lead in them. But if you go by household, that's was 24% of the households that were tested are testing high in lead. 10% of the faucets, because they would do maybe 3 faucets in a house and 1 faucet in that house, so they're counting 3. So you have to look at what the percentages are according to how many houses were tested. Is that my time?
That's it.
Thank you. Well, I had other ones, but I guess next time. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for being here. We have Larry England, and after Larry is Kevin Jackson. Good afternoon. If you'll give us your name and address, we appreciate it.
Name is Larry England, address 2098 East Palo Alto, 93710. My home is on a subfloor. I don't have any underground piping that's galvanized. Tommy Escueda knows me real well. Mr. Brand and I talked at the last meeting. My problem started in 2015 when the pipes came down Chestnut Avenue. Then they fed that water down my way into our subdivision. The rust water didn't show up until 2015. They put a corrosive into that water, anti-corrosive into the water, March of this year. So we've had 2 years of this water coming through our galvanized pipes. The damage is done, folks. It's done. How can you fix damaged galvanized pipe? Somebody tell me how that's done, then we'll be able to get something accomplished. The next thing is I've talked to Mr. Brand at the last meeting we were at the water meeting. He mentioned that there was going to be a low-tier interest loan for people to take loans out on homes to have their house replumbed anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000. Where's it that our fault? We didn't shove that water down our throat in 93710. I talked to Mr. Escueda about the situation, and he agreed with me there might be a problem with the chemical process of taking the underground water, which isn't treated, to the top water that is treated. You mix the two, you get a chemical process. I don't know what that is, if that's reverse osmosis or what it is. But where does the homeowner being held responsible for stuff that's being shoved down their throat? It's like buying some diesel fuel at a gas station, and you think you're getting diesel fuel, instead you get gas. Next thing you know, your injectors go, and you got $10,000 worth of damage. Who's paying for that? It isn't going to be the person that bought the fuel. So my question is, why is the homeowner held responsible for having water shoved down their throat when they don't have any choice on it? We didn't have this process. We didn't start this process. The city of Fresno started this process by bringing it down Chestnut Avenue, and it leads all the way to Gettysburg. Mr. Perea, you're going to love this, Mr. Brand, delivered us a bottle of water with this nice little sign that said Mr. Perea. And Mr. Olivier, I agree with you. I shook my head also. I asked the gentleman, is that for my rust water that I've got, which is this? I got this today. And he said to me, well, I've got that same problem on Gettysburg. That's the end of the line for the water line for this, where this is going. And if you open up 2 other plants in the same situation in Northwest and Southwest across this city. You tell me how you're going to fix it. Tell me why is it that the homeowner is going to be held responsible for having to replace galvanized pipes when they didn't want this water to begin with? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is Kevin Jackson. And following that will be, I think, Maurice Larkins. I can't quite read the first name, but... Okay, Mary Rose. I'm sorry about that. Mary Rose Larkins. You're up now? After Kevin? Kevin's done? Okay. It's your turn. And after you will be Jeanette Gritter. Thanks for being here, and if we can get your name and address for the record.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I had intentions of reading a letter I had written to my city councilman in 2007. I can do that, but this gentleman who spoke before me brought up a lot of good points. And you don't think about water...
Can you put your mic down?
Oh, sorry. You don't think about water being bad. You just think about it being good, right? And he's saying it's, shoved down your throats. I don't know if that's a good way to say it, but it's the water that comes to our house. You expect it to be clear and safe to drink. We have pictures in the audience of people that don't have clear water. And I've been working with Bruce Rudd and Lee Brandt since they started in January of 2016. But my problem started very early on in 2004. And I would just like that to resonate with you, and I would like it to stick with you, that I've had that problem since then. I was one of the original people that called. I was in close contact with Robert Moorhead at the surface water treatment plant. He knew my name. He called me. He came to my house. He would thank me by giving a sample and give me a 6-pack of water. I learned more about water being aggressive than I ever wanted to learn. I had zero idea water had this type of properties. They asked me, 2004, they were notified. They were working on it. I learned about pH. I learned about aggression, this, that, and the other thing. And in 2006... or 7, I decided to write to my councilman and tell them that I've had a problem with this, that Lon Martin had asked me to be patient while he does more research with this issue. And Mr. Moorhead used to tell me, it's so interesting because there's just this little pocket, and it's not everybody. It's just this little pocket. You guys are the only ones that have this issue. Oh, well... Oh, okay, I heard a ding. Okay. So he used to tell me I was not the only one. Our little neighborhood was the only one that had the problem. Again, after writing my letter, Lon Martin, before that, I expressed to the council that Lon Martin actually was supplying me with water while I be patient while he does the research. I did get a response from the councilman at that time. And he said that he would look into it with the city manager at that time. And I was advised by his letter, and that's public. Mr. Brand has that. His secretary actually gave it to me today, that he encouraged me not to come here to the council because the city was already aware of this issue, and they were working to resolve that problem. And that letter is dated January 17th, 2007. So...
Well, I'm glad you're here.
So I'm here today, but yeah.
We're glad you're
I just
here.
want you to know what your city council had done before. Yeah.
Council President, I'd like to...
Member Brandau, you have the floor.
Mary, this is Steve here. Yeah, it is Mary, right? Yeah. Oh, Mary Rose. All right, cool. And this is what I appreciate. Thank you for that history. When you responded in 2004, who was your council member then?
Jerry Duncan.
Jerry Duncan, fantastic.
Yeah.
Maybe Holly can talk to Jerry tonight. But I have a question.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to share one other thing. I mean, the 2007, I got the letter. I really was encouraged not to come here because I knew about this, but it was encouraged not to. but you guys all thought the comments or the issue stopped, and it did. And I will let you know it went dead in 2007 because I am one of the 5 people that is receiving water. And I will tell you, as one person, I was frustrated, and I said, at least I have water to drink and I have water to cook with. Now, my whites are never going to be white. I'm never going to use hot water in my laundry ever again, and that's okay with me. 2012, we had a big issue of the red-colored water that came back. My mother and a neighbor were on Channel 30, and I believe that coincided with the water meter installation. And I could be wrong, but somebody else in the city might know that date.
Mm-hmm.
But they were interviewed because it suddenly came rushing back. It was always a very intermittent issue, always intermittent. Yellow, orange, and then suddenly you get these bursts.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't just die. It just wasn't picked up by anybody. Because 2012, 2016, and I've been looking on my pictures to find there was a woman who posted on Facebook before 2016 that she had this water coming, and then I believe in 2016 it really took off, and everybody is paying attention now. And you know,
Mary
not
Rose,
to be a smart aleck, but because of
to be honest with you, what I really like about because you were one of the originals, right?
Yes.
And you're giving us history. I wanted to express, and I know about half the group has left, that most of these council, well, for sure, there's nobody sitting on this council now. I don't even think Sal was here. Okay, so no council members. And oddly enough, through the course of time, most of us had never even heard of this problem till January of this year. Probably a couple of council members had heard little wisp of it, but nothing like this magnitude. The point I was trying to make earlier is since we have heard of it since January, we had to let Tommy get out and do his investigation. He's very thorough.
I absolutely know that this man came to my home and spoke to me personally.
Yeah.
So no, I am very grateful. And he said he basically was fact-finding and started asking me questions.
Yeah.
And I knew he was going to interview my neighbor after myself. And I said, I'll be darned. I can't find any of my paperwork. Find it, show him, bring it out there, share it. And they did. They were, I'm friends with Shan Connor, and they were able to present a paper trail. And I also just want to share, and I want it again to resonate with you, and I really do. The city says there is no paper trail. I guess I have it so hard to believe that there's nothing that Mr. Moorhead and Lon Martin did not document anywhere of my conversations with them about this, because that man told me we're putting corrosive inhibitors in your water to coat your galvanized pipe so those pieces won't fall off and make your red-colored water.
Wow.
Where is that documentation? I mean, I spoke with this man, and probably I spoke to him more than anybody else in 2004 to 2007.
Yeah.
And I mean that sincerely, and I'm not exaggerating it, because that man, I can talk too, but that man can talk way more than I can, and at a level I don't even understand with the chemistry. But he assured me that they were adding anti-corrosives.
Right. Well, Mary Rose, thanks for the background. Now, in the last couple of months, I'd heard that a couple times, but it's fantastic to hear it straight from you because you were one of the originals, okay? And I know we have some others that are also. So my point earlier was most of us really found out about this in January, and I wanted to say that it might seem, and trust me, when council goes to solve a problem anywhere, it takes time. It takes time to get the city moving. It takes time to get the departments moving. It takes time to analyze the stuff. But I think that I could safely say, Councilman Brand, I know, has been talking to me about it incessantly for 2 or 3 months. Bruce Rudd has talked to me about it. I'm not even the council member for Northeast. Tommy's talked with me about it. They're trying to get us educated, telling us how the investigation's going and how things are moving along. I wanted to say that we are not going to be, and we have got a track record of not being like councils before us. We're gonna find the solution to this problem. We're gonna get down to the bottom line, and then we're gonna create solutions that are fair.
And that's good, and that's actually what I do want. I was one of the ones holding a nice sign, and that's not to give me extra credit. But I do really want the problem solved, because I didn't even know there was like a 1989 corrosive study, because I would tell Mr. Moorhead and Lon Martin, you knew what kind of pipe was out in northeast Fresno before you put that online. So how did you not know that I was going to have a problem? Like, I was asked if I had a water softener. I said yes. Turn it off. I did happily. I volunteered samples weekly, daily, whatever they called me. He would call me and say, Mary Rose, we did this. Can you leave a sample at your door? I say yes. I come back and he'd leave me a little thing of water. But I did not even know that study existed till just recently. So I guess, just again, and I realize it's not everybody's problem, but it makes me want to say, you knew there were going to be casualties of war. We all know that, right? We do, and we accept that. I am one of them, and I don't want to be.
Right.
And I have been for a very long time.
Mary Rose, thank you. There's a couple of other casualties happening in this conversation, and I'm done. Thank you for coming back up. Which is there's a lot of politicizing of your guys' problem because of other people have agendas completely different from your problem, but they want to seize your problem and exploit it for their own political purposes. And it has to do with current candidates and recent past candidates. Okay? So, but I want you to know, and we're hearing it, this city government is really listening to you. Thank you.
Okay, I think what he's saying is that this council will be remembered as the council that solved problems from the past, present problems, and future problems, and we're going to be the council that's known as the one that does not kick any cans down the road. We can assure you of that. Next is Jeanette Greider, and after Jeanette will be Rhonda Rafidi. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Jeanette Greider, and I live at 10120 North Heather Drive in this area. And I've lived here since 1992. And I lived there. I didn't even know we had a water treatment plant until January. I thought Fresno was on well water, that we were always on well water. Well, we started seeing intermittent orange water in about 2011. So we lived there from 92 to 11, and we had never seen any red water. So we called the city and asked, what's wrong with our water? And they'd say, well, you've got pipes from China. Well, they used the term China, but I didn't know what. Anyway, you've got pipes from China. The water that we're delivering is fine. The problem is in your house. Okay, so one of my next door neighbor already got new pipes because she was told that just about a year ago this summer, so she's got new pipes. So I was getting ready to get new pipes as soon as the weather got better, and then we had this next door app come online, and so I thought, well, that rotten so-and-so Rod DeLuca put these bad pipes in our house. I want to go and see if anybody else has the same issue. And when I asked if anyone had rusty pipes, I figured I'd be hearing from people that, Rod DeLuca built their house. Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, I'm hearing from people all over our whole area that have orange water and have had it, and intermittently. I think it's corroding your pipes, so it starts gradually and it spreads. Well, anyway, I just wanted to ask if you guys were familiar with this 1998 study that was done before they put the new water treatment plant online. I'll leave you a copy of a summary of it if you want to read it. But that study said in really very clear terms that this was a possibility. The water that they call surface water is very clean, clear water, has no minerals in it, and it seeks minerals out of your pipes. And so it is called, well, it's corrosive, and it's also called aggressive. So it works on your pipes. And so this study told what needed to be done because they knew that the pipes in our area were galvanized and that they would have a problem. And so, in fact, here's one statement in that thing. The fact that Fresno galvanization layers are still intact after 25 years tells us that corrosion rates on zinc surfaces in Fresno groundwater are exceptionally low. So I feel like our pipes were fine until we started getting this water. And we're in a kind of a unique situation out in our area of Fresno in that we still get well water sometimes, and we get this treated water. So this treated water, according to this study, was supposed to be given out at a pH level of 9.0, which is what it needed to not corrode the pipes.
We need to kind of wrap it up. There's
Okay,
others
well,
wanting to
anyway,
speak.
I'm getting at the water was not treated correctly, and it has ruined our pipes. And I feel like that is not our responsibility. And I feel, in a way, it wasn't the treatment plants, it's their responsibility, but it was their lack of knowledge or whatever, because the water may have left that treatment plant at 9.0, but our water tests show we had like an 8 or less than 8, and one place in here said that the pH level is kind of like the Richter scale for earthquake. It's like there's a huge difference between. It said there was a.
Jeanette, I hate to interrupt you,
9.0.
but I hate to interrupt you, but
Okay.
you,
Well, anyway,
you have
I
to
just
move on.
wanted you. I wish you would look at that study.
We'll take a look at those. You can leave them
Okay,
with
I'll
Todd, and we'll review those
That's
accordingly.
just a summary, but
Thank you very much.
okay.
Rhonda, you're next, and after Rhonda will be Karen
Here's
Lockwood.
a little bit more of it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Rhonda, if we could get your name and address, and
Good
you'll have 3
afternoon.
minutes.
My name is Rhonda Rafidi. I live on North Sharon Avenue. Mr. Brandt owns a home there. I'm also one of the original residents who started noticing discolored water towards the end of 2004, beginning of 2005, and started communicating with other neighbors, and eventually we had a Yahoo group set up. Mostly it used to be about neighborhood block parties or yard sales and so forth, and it ended up being a conversation about discolored water. This is a transcript of it, and in that transcript, several neighbors had posted about contacting the city in regards to their discolored water, and I also did the same thing. I contacted the city, spoke with Lon Martin. A lot of times had a hard time getting through or having calls returned. However, finally did that by the end of 2006. By January 2007, Lon Martin set it up for Yosemite Waters to come, and I started receiving bottled water, and with the city paying for it. I keep hearing throughout today's meeting that the city didn't know about anything in regards to this between 2007 and maybe 2016 or so. However, in 2011, the bottled water company switched from Yosemite to Alhambra. I received this letter from the city. It was from Kenneth Hurd, Chief of Water Operations at the time, on March 15, 2011. On there, he had stated, I'm writing to you today concerning the bottled water deliveries that you are receiving on behalf of the city of Fresno. So they knew that they were paying for our bottled water service. This is in 2011. And it continued on in 2014. I was thinking of selling my house. I wanted to disclose my discolored water. I made contact with the city of Fresno again. I did call Kenneth Hurd because I kept this letter. And I was told things like, the water is fine. I don't know anything. All the people who were involved are no longer there at the city. He said, we don't have any copies of any information that was shared with them in regards to any complaints over the years. And when I asked for a water quality test, they said, we do not do water testing. And I've reached out to the city, and I appreciate you listening to us, taking us seriously, and wanting to do something about it, because it is a relief of all those years of living with this and having a child in the home. And I just implore you to please don't put this all on us for us to come up with the money, because if they would have done something before, years ago, started treating the water like they should have been and so forth, done an investigation, something, then today I wouldn't have pipes that need to be replaced. And
Thank you.
the burden on me. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. Karen? And then after Karen will be Sean Connor. Sorry. I'm sorry, Shan Connor, my bad. Welcome, and give us your name and address. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Karen Lockwood. I live at 315 East Nees. That's in Northeast Fresno. I wasn't intending to say anything today. I'm wishing I had maybe taken the back of the check with a pencil. I took my phone, and I'm new to all this, so we'll see how it goes. Anyway, you've heard a lot from originals. Well, I'm kind of on the other side of this. I had slightly discolored water from time to time, sort of to the point where I really didn't notice it, think much of it. But then I happened to come across that District 6 was having their first meeting, I think it was, and I almost didn't go, but because it's, right, well, no, I'm going to go. I think it's probably a good idea. And so, same thing, I almost didn't test my water, and I almost didn't get my blood tested either. And I was really actually very surprised to find out that the lead from my faucet in my bathroom sink was over the action level. And that's a sink I actually use several times a day when I first get up in the morning, lunchtime, whatever, before I go to bed at night. I use it a lot. In fact, I use it so much, that's why I didn't notice much color, I think. But anyway, also, and I haven't actually seen my test results yet. They were over the phone. I called in wanting, oh, wait, time's moving on. Let's see. I also have lead from at my kitchen sink faucet, which is identified by the testing to be either from the faucet or the pipe. And then I also have lead at my hose bib. And I just want to say there are probably a lot of other people out there just like me that are in your 15,000 or more group that don't really know that they have a problem. So, and also I want to mention I haven't gotten that card yet. I'm in the 93720. I'm sure it's coming. But, I think there are a lot of people out there still that probably haven't gotten it. Oops. How long does that mean?
You have another minute.
1 minute. Okay. So here I am. Now I'm using bottled water while I figure out what my next steps are going to be. I know I have to replace the faucets. That's kind of a given. Or maybe just not use them and go to one. Maybe replace pipes. I don't know. But I'm also empathetic now for the people who've been dealing with this all these years. I keep forgetting to use my bottled water to start with. And I thought, this should be free. It used to be free. Now I have to pay probably about $20 a month to get water that I can drink. And here's my concerns. I'm a going forward kind of person. The idea that the water is safe, the water's good, is only really half true. If I went to the surface treatment plant every day and took my drink of water there, I'd be fine. But I don't. I have it at my house. And the idea with that is that going forward, it seems to be tied in a lot to when the surface treatment plant came online, and you've got plans for more. And what I'd really like to see would be, what's the solution? And thank you. You guys have been doing such a great job, and I know you're trying hard, and it's like, gives me a headache to think of all the contributing factors that you had to deal with. But so it makes me wonder, is there a solution like a blanket type of anti-corrosive that you can just put out there that works for everybody?
We hope so, and we're working on that, Karen. Thank you very much. And next is Ms. Connor. And well, we've been doing that, as you've heard from my colleagues, and I kind of took our group credit for being problem solvers, but I forgot to mention the two key ingredients, and Bruce Wright and his team, Tommy Escueda and his team. You've got everybody at this city working for all you folks. Yes. Thank you. Ms. Connor, Ms. Connor, after you will be Julie Shows. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for hearing us out, and I want to first applaud Tommy Escueda and all of his team and everybody who's come out and done meetings and met with homeowners and tested our pipes and our water and all of that. But I'm also here to tell you that I'm one of the original homeowners that's been complaining since 2004, so please forgive us if we're raving mad over all of this and how long it has taken to actually get somebody to pay attention to us. Because I called incessantly along with Mary Rose and several others on our street to tell the city about the water quality issue. So for some background information, I have test results from February 28th of 2005 when BSK Laboratories tested my water, and they came back to me and told me, your water is perfectly safe except for pregnant women and children. So we're going to start delivering bottled water to your home because you have 4 small children in your house. And of course, we took it gladly, but we still wondered why we had the poor water quality. And so they came out again in March of 2005 and pulled out pieces of our piping because the suspicion was that our pipe's zinc coating was degraded in some way, and we had a water softener online, and they talked to us like Mary Rose about the aggressive water, the soft water, and a soft water system already being put through, that it would just be too much. Of course, we took our soft water system offline. Then when they did the pipe testing, they came back, and I have a letter from Lon Martin, copied 5 other people within the city of Fresno on it, that says, upon visual inspection, the corrosive expert found that the zinc lining of the sample to be intact, thus requiring no further testing. So my water is supposedly perfectly fine, but now you're delivering water to my house. This is, again, 2005. My pipe is completely intact, but again, somehow it's the piping in my home that's causing the problem, so didn't quite understand the problems. We actually left the neighborhood in 2007, which may have been part of the reason why the communication died down. We had deaths in the family. For those of us that are original members, we had accidents, debilitating accidents within family members, so some things have kind of kept us from bugging you about the water quality. So we're grateful that it's back in the limelight. One of the things I would like to suggest to you is that you urge the health department to offer lead testing, an easier way of testing people's lead other than telling them to go to their doctors, because that means parents have to take off work, schedule the appointment, take their children in, pay the copays. And I'm a health insurance agent, folks. Copays can be as much as $70 just to see your doctor and $35 or more just to get your labs done. So if we can have the health department offer an easy way for parents that are concerned to come in and get their kids tested, that might help to either confirm or deny our suspicions in Northeast Fresno. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Connor. Next is Julie Shows, and after Julie will be Lionel Sierra. Good afternoon, and thank you for being here.
I wasn't planning on speaking, but Holly asked me to come speak. I'm Julie Shows. I live at 9917 North Sedona Circle, Fresno, 93720. I come as a concerned citizen. My water is currently being tested right now. My brother has brown water. It's not tested yet. My family actually owns a manufacturing company that is for ag, but it's cleans filter backwash timers for ag. So we're in the water industry. And so anytime I come here, it's always about water. So this is near and dear to my heart. I just wanted to ask, is there a time frame for the testing period so that we can move quickly. I understand we just kind of realized this in January. So if we've got a time frame set, I think that would help kind of move things along. So we've got these request forms coming in, kind of collect the data. Then it would give us a good idea of how much money we're going to have to spend. And also, I wanted to know, is there any treatments other than replacing these pipes that is cost efficient and proven? Because that might be something to look at. I think the homeowners are skeptical of that at this point. Excuse me, I was running in. So if they're skeptical, then they're not going to be happy, and we want to be able to solve this problem quickly. And so I have a friend that's getting her water tested maybe 2 or 3 times. They change the chemistry over at the water treatment facility, and then they come and they test her water. Is it really feasible, and does anyone really believe that any of this is going to help solve the problem, changing the chemistry after the pipes are corroded? Maybe there is a solution of, cost-effective and proven way that we can do this without, replacing the pipes. I don't know. So I thought maybe that would be something we could look at as well. And then I also wanted to know what % of the affected homeowners are served by this water treatment facility that have tested high for lead. So those are kind of the questions that I had. Does anyone have any thoughts on if there's been any positive lead results that aren't, getting water from this treatment facility?
I can only direct you to Mr. Escueda after the meeting. I think he's taking some notes right now as far as your questions, and also if you would take the time to discuss it with him, he might be able to help you and solve those questions.
So just getting all of these ideas together, get a time frame, then we can know the costs moving forward of what's this going to cost us or the city, combination thereof. And then we can move forward with possible solutions. Maybe there is a cost-effective way to deal with this that we haven't looked at yet.
Very good. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Next is Lionel Sierra, and after Lionel will be Luis Ojeda. Good morning, sir. Welcome.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Lionel Sierra. I live at 5807 West Shaw Avenue. I wanted to speak about my son. Here's a picture of him. He passed away on April 6, 2012, and I wanted to say that he didn't have to die that day. My problem is I would like to ask who is Tony Body's boss, or because I tried to speak with him about it. Can you tell me who his boss is?
Is this a police department issue?
Tony Body is the spokesperson for Sheriff Margaret Mims.
Oh, I see. Okay, so then it is Mims,
Yes.
Sheriff Mims? Okay, well, I spoke to her, and I didn't get anywhere with her. Can anybody tell me who I can go with above Sheriff Mims? Because she just responded with a phone call with somebody else under her. I wanted to find out why.
I think I'm getting some.
Your county supervisor.
Your county supervisor would be the first person first person I would go to, and then you could go up the chain of law enforcement command, as FBI to DA's office, whoever you could think of that might be helpful to your particular issue.
So it would be the council member or the supervisor?
Supervisor. This seems to be a county issue.
Yes,
what
it
you're
is.
telling us.
Yes.
So
This
the
happened in
county.
Biola.
Can I?
Yeah, Member Van Dau has an
Sir,
idea.
what'd you say your address was? Shaw and what?
Shaw and Polk.
I think your supervisor is Borges. Supervisor Andreas Borges.
Oh, Borges, okay. Now, my son lost his life because his then fiance, didn't call 911 for him to save his life, and they were fighting because she had a boyfriend. My son was going to report her to the Children's Hospital where she worked because she stole medication, she stole prescription tabs, and she also stole Social Security numbers and IDs from 180 people, which I can prove. I turned over all that information over to the Children's Hospital. They ended up firing her, and but because Children's Hospital will not file a case against her, Fresno County, where my son died in Fresno County, out in Biola, they won't follow up with anything. They believe her, okay, and it's not right. It was a murder. When I got back to my, there's so much that I can't explain it all in this short amount of time. So that's why I wanted to find out who I need to go speak with.
It's either going to be, I'm looking it up, but it's either going to be Borges or Pacheco. One of those two supervisors, and they meet on Tuesdays, just like we meet on Thursdays.
Okay.
They meet on Tuesdays. So if you have access to a computer, go on and look up the Fresno County Board of Supervisors and see when their next meeting is.
Okay.
Or you can also just get the phone number of Andreas Borges, and if it's not him, if it happens to be Pacheco, he'll give you his phone number. But I would look up the phone number for Supervisor Andreas Borges.
Okay. I also wanted to tell you on that day, she took my grandson, and I have not seen my grandson in 4 years. And she's hiding. She's hiding from us. And
you know what? You can try to go to the DA's office, have a child abduction unit, and chat with Lisa Smith. Yes, she's our current district attorney. I'm just giving you suggestions, but we feel and are sympathize with your loss, sir.
Thank you.
And I hope we helped you out a little bit today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Luis Ojeda, it's your opportunity to speak to the council.
First, just a couple of side notes. I really wish these meetings would happen in the evening so more folks could come and really witness these meetings. And then I think on the homelessness issue, that was kind of a strange conversation to me. I think the solution of sending police officers to go around and protect the garbage cans seems a little too much. I think we should be talking about issues of homelessness and how do we lift our community out of poverty and provide more jobs for folks and more opportunities rather than sending police as like the first response. And then I think my main point is just around what's happening around the police department. I think it's really time for Bruce to really step up and hold the police chief accountable. He doesn't have the trust of the community. Jerry Dyer needs to go. The mayor has been absent. I don't know where she is on this issue, but I think we as a community are really tired of the police always being under investigation for corruption, low morale, and all those issues that are currently happening. It's really time for this council to not be absent and not pretend like this isn't an issue that they need to deal with. And so I think I would really urge this council and the city manager to really deal with the police chief who really needs to go. We need community oversight of the police department that allows the community to actually have final authority over hiring of the police chief, and has final authority to look into whenever there are officer-involved shootings, like the one that happened with Dylan Noble that didn't need to happen. That was a clear evidence through the video that was a murder. Those police officers need to be held accountable. Police officers who have multiple shootings on their hands need to be disciplined, need to be removed from the force in order to really move forward. And I think the other issue is that the police department is spying on individuals. And again, this is something that shouldn't be happening. Again, it's causing this tension between the police department and its community that is absolutely not necessary. The police department should be working to build a relationship with the community and to actually be a force of good in the community, and that's not currently what it's looked at. And so I would really highly encourage this council to take a look at the various issues that the police department is currently facing in order to restore that trust. And then I think the other issue is the citations that are being given to protesters. Again, it's having a chilling effect on protesters who are exercising the First Amendment rights and who are wanting to uplift the issues of police brutality and murders by the police departments. And so I would really encourage folks to look into that in terms of what kind of chilling effect that's having on protesters, discouraging them from expressing their views about what's happening in the community, and really just making them afraid to go out there for fear of being cited by the police department. And so, yeah. We just want to really uplift that, and I would really highly encourage everyone who's here and everyone who's missing from this council to look into the Black Lives Matter movement and to not cast it as a group that's a force of bad, but it's actually a force of good. So thank you all.
Luis, I just want to tell you, thank you for your calm and respectful comments.
But I would just say that I have the privilege as a non-Black Latino to be calm, but I think for Black folks in this community, I totally understand why folks are upset.
But we all should be respectful. I think you'd agree with that to each other. So thank you, Luis. I appreciate it. Thanks. Okay, anybody else in the public wish to come forward and discuss any item? This is unscheduled communication. This is the opportunity. Seeing none. Well, if it's on a different subject, we've given you your opportunity on the if it's a water issue. So now we've kind of moved on.
Mary Rose, I'll speak to you off. Come over to the side. I'll talk to you.
Thank you, Member Brand. Next up, back to our agenda. I think we're at the joint meeting of the City of Fresno Successor Agency. And it's your opportunity.
Mr. President, the law directs the successor agency to dispose of former agency non-housing parcels expeditiously and in a manner to maximize their value as directed by the Oversight Board. So to expedite this process, the resolution in your packet allows the executive director to execute purchase and sale agreements consistent with the dissolution law, consistent with the long-range property management plan that both the successor agency, the Oversight Board, and Department of Finance have approved, and consistent with the property disposition guidelines that have been adopted by this board and the Oversight Board. Lastly, just for the record, this action is a successor agency action item. I think it says on the agenda, council, but it is successor agency. So that is my summary. If you have questions, happy to respond.
Thank you very much. Anyone in the public wish to comment on this particular item? Now is your opportunity to come forward and give us your thoughts. Seeing none, back to the council. The screen is clear. I don't think this is an action item, is it? It is an action item, okay. Motion by Member Soria. I'll second it. All those in favor? Opposed? Passes 4-0 with members Brand, Baines, and Brandell missing, or absent, sorry. With that, we'll adjourn the agency and FRC aspect of our meeting and their meeting. Next, we'll move on to item 2B. It's just a resolution for submitting to city electors a proposal to amend the charter. This is the Finance Department. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Good afternoon, Council. Mike Lima, Finance Director Controller. Before you today is an item authorizing the placement of a measure on the November 2016 ballot, which, if approved, would amend the charter to allow submission of formal bid proposals electronically in addition to the currently permitted hard copy submission method. Currently, the city's purchasing unit utilizes a software package called Planet Bids, which is used for notifying vendors of bid opportunities and for accepting informal bid documents. Planet Bids also has the capability of accepting formal bid documents electronically. However, Section 1208A2 of the City Charter requires that formal bid documents be submitted, and I quote, in a sealed envelope. The proposed action would place on the ballot a measure that would amend Section 1208A2 to allow electronic submission of documents in addition to those submitted in a sealed envelope. Assuming the item is passed by voters, amending the charter section would extend to formal bids the same functionality that exists for other city procurement processes, thus improving efficiency and reducing paperwork. As this item would be on the scheduled November election, the cost of placing the measure on the ballot is estimated to be less than $5,000. Staff recommends approval of this proposed item, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Any member of the public wish to come forward now and comment on this item? This is a perfect opportunity to do so. Kathy, you have a comment? No? Okay. Seeing none, back to the dais. And I'm sorry. Oh, my goodness. You guys snuck up on me. Member Olivier.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Member Olivier. I'll second it. Next is Member Soria.
Just have a couple questions. So right now we cannot receive electronic bids. Is that what you're telling us?
Formal bids we cannot accept electronically. They have to come in a sealed envelope. That is what the charter requires.
And so the charter amendment would allow us to do both?
To do both, yes. We would still keep the sealed envelope, but we would also have this electronic method as well.
And is that what I guess other municipalities are doing, allowing electronic?
Yeah, other municipalities have Planet Bids and they're able to utilize this formal bid feature. We're not, because our charter is very specific. I guess there is a state law workaround, but we would rather clean up the charter than rely on that state law workaround to deal with this.
Okay, perfect. And then when we get the electronic copies, because I noticed, I think that in the submittal, you actually have to provide multiple copies. So we would just be doing the copies of the electronic
That's
copy
correct.
that we receive.
Mhm.
Okay. Are there going to be additional costs to that, or? do we
No, right
anticipate-
now, no, there won't be additional costs. The licenses, the vendors already apply on Planet Bids, so it would actually help them because they're not printing out stacks of paper with every formal bid. So, yeah.
It's environmental.
Okay. Cool.
Go for it. Support me.
I'm not saying I'm not supporting it. I'm just asking a couple questions. Okay. I think those are all the questions that I had. Thank you.
Okay.
Screen is clear. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Passes 4-0 with members. The 3 Bs are missing: Brand, Brandau, and Baines. So we'll move on to the next item. And sorry you had to wait so long, and thank you for your patience. I think this is what good government's all about. Yes, I am. Oh, here we go. Under City Council, presentation by the City of Fresno Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, commonly known as BPAC, and the Fresno Police Department, commonly known as FPD, relating to the pedestrian safety campaign that I was part of this at the noon hour. And it was a great presentation. This is sponsored by member Soria, and welcome again. At least it's cooler in here than we were outside at the noon hour. So thanks for your patience and thanks for being here.
I also just want to thank you guys for being patient and for being here and really for the work that you guys are going to present. Thank you.
Thank you, council members. We want to thank you for allowing us to come and do our presentation, and we'll keep it short. We also wanted to say this has been an interesting exercise in democracy. We really appreciate the awesome job you guys are doing. This is an awesome responsibility, and
it's a little bit different than people commonly perceive, I believe.
Yes, yes.
Fortunately, not every day is like today.
So anyway, we just wanted to take this. Thank you for this opportunity to come and present projects that we've been working on for a while now, and I want to thank the council members, and I also want to thank Joe Martinez, who is our bicycle pedestrian advocate par excellence on the committee, and also want to introduce the collaborators on this project. This has been a collaboration with the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee, as well as Fresno Police Department, Detective Mark Van Wyhe, and also Community Regional Medical Centers. We have our representative, Eliana Troncali, that will let them kind of tell you their piece there. But I just wanted to say, from the perspective of the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee, that we have been thinking about some of the issues that we are tasked with dealing with, which is bicycle and pedestrian safety. And so I guess my bottom line is that you've been listening to a lot of hot button issues and a lot of lives that matter, and certainly very serious issues. But I just want to say that bicycle and pedestrian lives matter too. And you guys are all about safety and the health and welfare of our community. So we just wanted to suggest that you keep the bicycle pedestrian issues in mind as we go forward. One of the things that's going on right now, you may be aware, is where the city is in the process of developing an active transportation plan, and one of the top priorities that was identified in the stakeholders committee was safety. So it's really kind of on the mind of all of those people who bike and walk, and I want to, we all know we're all pedestrians unless we're mobility impaired, so this applies to all of us. So that's why it's important that we want to bring that up to you. So one of the things that in this process it's been interesting to me to find out is that what are some of the issues for pedestrians and bicycles in the city, and we've done this an analysis of hotspots, and one of the things that it's kind of stood out to me is, number one, we have a lot of DUIs and hit and run issues, hard to solve. The other issues that we have, aging infrastructure that is not friendly to bicycles and pedestrians. And we've identified some hot spots in our process, and some of the hot spots tend to be along some of the major corridors, the arterial corridors, such as the soon-to-be BRT corridors, Ventura, Kings Canyon, Blackstone, and Shaw. Are some of the issues, and the things that those have in common is that they're wide and they're fast. So dealing with aging infrastructure that was really designed for automobile transport, not taking into account having conditions that are more bicycle and pedestrian friendly. So those are high dollar items, but so we want to kind of point that out. The other solutions to some of our disproportionate high numbers of pedestrian and bicycle injuries, we have probably about 5 to 7 plus or minus bicycle fatalities in the city of Fresno. That doesn't include the county areas, which would increase that number. And probably the number of pedestrian fatalities is actually 3 times the number. So there's more pedestrians, obviously. But the number of pedestrian injuries we'll speak to today is much higher. So some of the solutions that we will submit. Education is what we're here about. That's kind of one of the less expensive ones. The other expensive items are enforcement. Those are high dollar items, and even higher dollar are the infrastructure things. But there are some things that I would like to suggest for your consideration when we go forward with our traffic plans, are looking at strategies and policies that could promote traffic calming, slowing speeds down, because we do know that speed kills, and I want to thank Councilmember Soria for supporting our campaign. I think you saw some Councilmember Caprioli, thank you for coming out to see our bus wrap. So our campaign is the bus wrap, billboards, and we have information handouts that we're going to be distributing, as well as some reflective equipment at Eliana. So I've spoken too much. Sorry to take so much of your time. Let me move on to introduce Joe here. Thank you for your time.
You're just showing your passion, your very deep passion, my friend.
Good afternoon, Council President and Council members. Again, we're very fortunate to have Dr. Tony Molina serve as our chair, very passionate about cyclists and pedestrians. According to the Fresno Police Department data in 2016, there has already been over 100 pedestrians and 60 bicyclist injuries due to collisions with motor vehicles just this year alone. 5 of the 10 traffic fatalities that occurred in the city of Fresno have involved pedestrians, so that means 50% of all traffic collisions involve a pedestrian here in the city. So to address these deadly statistics, the city of Fresno's BPAC committee, otherwise known as Fresno's Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory, and the Fresno Police Department have launched this campaign. It's up to all of us. This is a public education campaign to increase awareness of safe behaviors, because ultimately that's what we're talking about here, is people engaged in a behavior that could put them at risk of injury or even worse, death. So safe behaviors among our bicyclists and pedestrians, and heightened awareness and personal responsibility among our motorists and others about safely sharing the road with both bicyclists and pedestrians. Again, Councilmember Soria and Councilmember Capriola, thank you so much for making public safety a top priority at today's press conference and saying that publicly. It's very important that we hear that, especially when you consider that Fresno is ranked number 12 out of 58 counties for the number of pedestrian injuries and fatalities. This safety message is very clear, it's simple, it's mobile through the use of public advertising, as Dr. Molino talked about. The Fresno Area Express promotes this message. It is mobile. It is transported in many, many neighborhoods. And of course, motorists see this message as well. Again, speed kills. 90% of all injuries to pedestrians result in speed. And again, that is not a good statistic. This message also includes billboard signage, radio, TV, online media, and community outreach, as Dr. Molina talked about. In these ads, drivers receive this message: your speed could impact a life. Again, you see the message: 40 miles per hour, walking speed of pedestrian, 3 miles per hour. This message focuses on reducing pedestrian fatalities and injuries. Again, this campaign does focus on speed, distracted walking, crosswalk safety. We are reminding drivers to slow down, pay attention, don't be distracted, to help us reduce the number of injuries. And finally, Dr. Molina talked about the active transportation plan. We look forward in working with the City of Fresno in developing an active transportation safety plan, because it's one thing to go out and promote residents to get out and bike ride and to walk, but it's another to ensure their safety. So currently, the City of Fresno does not have a safety plan in place, and we encourage the city to actively introduce a active transportation safety plan in its overall goal of encouraging people to ride a bike and to walk. The next presenter we have is Detective Mark Van Wyhe with law enforcement, who is a partner in this campaign.
I'm not sure if I'm much of a presenter, but thanks again for allowing the police department to be part of this. Like Joe said, we keep an eye on the numbers. We're watching the numbers. I author and administrate all the OTS traffic safety grants under the command of Captain Hall. This information, getting into the public and working with the public, helps me write these grants based on the needs of just not the police department or our ideas, but the ideas of the community members. So we're going to continue. The grant that's coming this October has a large component in it for bicycle pedestrian safety. It's been a problem where about 40% of our collisions have involved pedestrians. And when these collisions take place, most of them have been the fault of the pedestrian, unfortunately. There's 2 victims here, and not a lot of people see this, but when somebody's driving down the road and they collide with a pedestrian that's crossing illegally or against traffic, and that life is lost, there's 2 victims. There's that pedestrian, and there's that driver that had no way of avoiding this collision, that lives with that image the rest of their life. So we really have 2 victims. So we know that we can't cite our way out of this problem. We have to educate our way out of this problem. And the way we've designed our efforts this year and next is really focused on education. Like some of these things, Upfront Media has been real good to us to use this billboard that I designed as a filler board. So every time they have a blank board, it's going up. They donated a lot of board space to us, so it hasn't cost, it didn't come out of general fund money. So I just appreciate the fact that I could be on this committee, work with these fine folks. And I guess it's evening time now, so thank you.
Thank you very much. It takes a team. You got quite a team there.
Right.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Eliana Troncali. I'm the Injury Prevention Specialist for Community Regional Medical Center. Thank you. Thank you. As the Community Regional Medical Center is the region's only level 1 trauma center. So every day we see the physical and emotional, financial toll that trauma like pedestrian and bicycle crashes has on a patient and their family and also our community. So we really are very grateful to be a part of the BPAC and for this campaign. And it, like my fellow members said before me, that this campaign is promoting lowering speeds. It's putting the responsibility on both the pedestrian and the driver. So again, I'm very thankful to be part of it. I continue to ask that the City of Fresno supports the BPAC and provides funding so that we can do more education campaigns like this. Also, I would like to add that helmets are also a very inexpensive and critical protection tool. The Fresno Fire Department does offer some for free, which is amazing, and I hope that we can find a way to get them more or find other ways to disperse these helmets so that low-income families can afford them. Helmets reduce the risk of head injury by at least 45%, brain injury by 33%, and facial injury by 27%, and fatal injury by 29%. So, and as more helmets laws target youth, actually the proportion of adults comprising our bicycle crashes, that's increasing. So both adults and children should be wearing helmets. Thank you again for allowing us to be here and to speak, and thank you for your support. Oh, and I also brought some of the flyers and also the reflective material that we give out to the public. Sorry.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
And the last thing we'd like to do is present this to the Fresno City Council. Councilmember Soria, thank you for being a champion for our pedestrians and cyclists. And so, again, this is a reminder of this campaign. The message doesn't stop here. It continues. And, again, we appreciate all your support, and thank you on behalf of the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee.
Thank you very much. And, you know, we have one of our most avid pedestrians in the city of Fresno, seated right back there, George Hotstadler, and he does a great job, and from that he gives us all kinds of information that helps us out on our decisions. So thank you all for the great presentation. It was fun at the press conference, and we just need to keep our community safe, and awareness on everybody's part seems to be the issue, and education is the best way to do it.
Just to add, Council President, I do want to thank all of you for being here and for presenting and for really working in collaboration and in partnership with all the different individuals. I do want to just thank Joe. I know that when I first met you a few years ago, before I became a council person, you had been having the discussion about the need to highlight pedestrian safety because that hadn't really been part of the conversation. And so I want to acknowledge your efforts. It's been over 2 years, and so I am so glad to see those efforts and really in conjunction with all the other advocates that you guys do highlight the issues that are so impacting our community. So again, thank you for pushing us and for not giving up and being persistent, and to see really your work come to fruition today in collaboration with our police department and all the other folks that are part of BPAC. So I commend the work that you guys do. I know that you guys do, it's all volunteer work, and so I want to thank you for all your efforts and for caring about our community. Thank you.
And your patience for waiting all day for us. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you again, yes.
You're paying for this guy.
Probably not enough. All right, thank you again. And now I think that concludes the items on our agenda today. And with that, we'll recess in loving memory of those that were mentioned earlier during our meeting. So thank you all very much for being here. Kathy, good to see you as always.
Council President, we still have closed session.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Would you like me to go ahead and
please?
Yes. In closed session, we have the Rowland versus City of Fresno case, Fresno versus AIG Financial Products, the appeal of Chris Henry on an administrative hearing decision, and also real property negotiation concerning 5607 West Jensen. I would not expect any announcement afterwards.